Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be on right after a couple of songs as we get ready for 2021.
Tommy Torettic. See, I don't like doing this, but I'm gonna teach you a little bit about the world. Yeah. Let's go. Welcome to the shop of Anonymous. I swear I don't want anything to do with this, I promise this. You hear me screaming from the top, I'm dropping knowledge. A barrel's too far gone for a rookie, so I'm calling this. Game over for you, chumps, the grind is all I know and do. Breathing fire like a dragon's or new power coming through. Yeah, I'm working 3 jobs so that I can frack that crew. The money you dummy in front of no honey can take that love from me. Going to the future and never coming back. Marty McFly now more like his dad. Trying to be calm, all this news is just whack. Propaganda flying, so know everybody mad. Empathy is gone, so we all for attack. If you disagree, you're just stupid and sad. Use intolerance or must be smoking crack. Ignorance is bliss, y'all, just to die, yeah. 2 sides of the same coin, killer. Why we ever stop living off 4 pillars? Acting like everything in life must be a thriller. We're living in a world written by Frank Miller. Cause the Dark Knight's return, so now we churn. See our heroes messed up and now we spurn them because it pisses us off and now we burn their careers alive to the ground. Cause we yearn to be in that position so that we earn millions and millions and millions. But then we turn into the very thing we hate. Now we revert and we refer to the lines that we rehearse. Spread love and forgiveness only to sing deeper. What did we learn? Distract myself from the world. Water, earth, fire, air, swirl. Bend it to your will, then hurl. Flying buffalo, why don't you give it a whirl? Grab a saber, then just twirl. Force cut a pear, give her a pearl. Power unleashes a churl. Join the dark side with the guess it's time I get back to work. Captain of my own enterprise, call me Kirk. Anger and depression always seem to lurk. Round every corner, so I write this just a perk. Everybody moved up, cause we screwed up. Living in a country where we shoot up. Anybody disagree, just to move up the food chain where you grew up. Otherwise they beat you down cause you used up. Time to boot up, new mindset program. Think you knew us, but you shoe us. You only care about us to subdue us, just to screw us. Living in a country full of Judas. Stab you in the back, USA or Brutus. Call them Lucius. Bringing out the Dark Knight, now we tuned up. Time to scoop up any positivity. While the masses all left clueless. They can only catch your speed, Mr. New One's opportunist. Leave them naked in the ground, talking ruthless. I am ruthless. Visions full of kid grown ghoulish, broken ruthless. Spitting proverbs like Confucius, call me Tommy Torettic or Nostradamus.
Who this? Who this? Who this? Who this? Who this? If I had an opportunity to let these little young sahabs know something, to take care of y'all bodies, you know what I mean? They'll take care of y'all chicken, you feel me? They'll take care of y'all mentals, because we ain't lasting that long.
OKC, I'm a tad bit eclectic. Thoughts tangential and torredic. Sprinkle ADHD and my dreams become prophetic. Deaths and overdoses, suicides and wedding dresses. A curse that devolves and messes, or a gift that truly blesses. Visions of a future of successes. Yet me none of these ladies are impressed with. Girls be thinking I'm obsessive or I'm thirsty.
How do I tell them I feel unworthy?
They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life is like a lie. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life is like a lie. I can write, direct, and act. Can even rhyme and rap. Humble and don't see it as a big deal, why is that? I was used, abused, beaten, battered, made to sat and play by myself, yeah, it's whack. See, I grew up lonely and sad, got angry like my dad, spit venom like my mom, and grew to hate myself along the way. I never learned the social skills to play in low world, but shit was just a fad. I finally gone full mad. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life is like a lie. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die. So why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride. Why my life feels like a lie. Imposter syndrome makes me mope.
Tell them.
My emotions are a kaleidoscope. Winter words does that make me feel worthy yet? Nope, therapy has taught me how to cope.
Damn.
I've learned it can't be done by smoking dope.
Or
Getting blackout drunk like a trope.
Or
meeting women to unrobe and probe.
Or
getting busy cause it makes my heart want to explode.
Damn.
I've learned you just gotta meditate when
damn,
you feeling angry and you straight hating.
damn,
Life and your friends think you're flaking.
damn,
If only they could know why I'm debating.
damn.
If only women knew what I was waiting.
Tell them.
Easy for the other guys, for me frustrating. My brain's in another dimension, translating the pain in my heart as I write this praying. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die, so why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride, why my life feels like a lie. They say the grass is always greener on the other side, but you never see it till you die, so why the hell do I try? I feel like everything I do is wrong, and that is why I spend my time trying to ride, why my life feels like a lie. If you got problems in your life, or you just feel like you need to talk to somebody, please do. It's important to take care of our mental health, because otherwise, we're crazy like the rest of the world. I hope you find peace and love.
Hello, I'm Thor, son of Dale, here to tell you about the Life of Thor Productions official shop. The only place where you can get your official merchandise for the Lights Thunder Action podcast and Life of Thor's Thor Watches series. Whether you want t-shirts, tanks, hoodies, mugs, and masks, Life of Thor Productions official shop has you covered. If you happen to recognize there's an item that you would like to buy that is not in the official shop, head over to the Lights Thunder Action podcast or Life of Thor and request that item, because if you want it, we'll sell it. Just head to lotproductions.threadless.com/collections to get the item that calls out to you via the Force. Again, that is lotproductions.threadless.com/collections. Thank you, and have a Thor-tastic day.
Happy New Year! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first ever episode of 2021. This is episode 39 of Lights Thunder Action. Well, every week we discuss all things DC, Marvel, Star Wars, and the latest happenings in the entertainment industry. My name is Thomas Carter Rochester, aka the son of Dale.
My name's David Thompson. Happy New Year, everyone. And today we've got a big show planned for you all. Of course, at the end of today's show, we will be talking Captain America, Civil War, the trilogy of trilogies, forges on. Me and Thomas will go head to head because, of course, we disagree on this. Of course. So we will be talking Civil War with the mindset of previewing for everyone WandaVision, which comes out technically next week, Thomas. WandaVision comes out next week, technically.
Let's go!
So let's go. That's close. We got Civil War we're going to be discussing. And then also before that, a bunch of other stuff.
A whole bunch of other stuff.
So we will be also discussing what the news. We've got some news for you today. Just a little bit. Not too much. Not too little. We also will be talking about our biggest takeaways from 2020, our highlights, what we thought, our top 3 highlights from 2020, and then the top 3 things we are looking forward to in 2021. So we got that kind of, a bit of a recap of our year, where we started here at Lights Thunder Action, and then looking into the future, what we're excited for, and there's a lot to be excited for, let me tell you. And then on top of that, we will also be discussing Soul, which we have not talked about yet. Last week, I hadn't seen it yet. It is a Pixar movie. Thomas loves it. He's all about Soul. Obviously, it's on Disney Plus now. It came out on Christmas Day. So we'll be giving a brief little... we'll be talking about Soul a bit, ladies and gentlemen. So look out for that. Thomas, it's 2021, man. We made it to a new year.
We did it. We're alive, David. We're alive, man.
We made it. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I don't know what day of the week we're on. I barely know what year we're in.
nothing's really changed. Everyone's like, oh my God, 2021 is going to be the best. And it's like, not unless you do the hard work, ladies and gentlemen. It will not be any better than the year before. But I'm good. I've been doing lots of work. Today's my first official day off from the day job in the new year. So what does that mean? It means spending all day working for the podcast. Yes. I'm not even gonna lie. I would much rather work for the podcast.
No doubt.
It's where my heart is, man. Home is where your heart is, and it is right here at Lights Under Action. David, how have you been, brother? You're on vacation.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been doing good. I've been off from work since New Year's Eve. I go back Thursday, so still got a few more days here, just relaxing. Been watching movies, hanging out with family. Enjoying the new year, really. It's been a good break because the holiday season was crazy at work. So it's been nice to kind of relax, take a break, get ready for the future. There's a lot to come for me, for Let's Under Action in 2021. So very excited to be here. And Thomas, have you been watching anything lately?
Have I? Well, I've seen
the obvious.
Soul. Yeah, I mean, I've seen Soul. I've seen Civil War.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like I watched something recently. I don't remember what it is. Yeah, I've been busy, man. A lot of football, playing lots of Madden.
Yep.
Probably should not have gotten that one for Christmas, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, man. A lot of getting ready for 2021. The Fat Man Beyond with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin, listening to I'm gonna tell you now, I'm holding back because I know the instant that I hit play on Battlestar Galactica, I will have no life in my free time until I finish not just the series or the mini series, but the movie The Plan. And then I'm going to go balls deep into all of the other spinoffs from that show because it's 100% glorious. I need you to watch it, David, because as time has gone on, I mean, I didn't see it for the first time until 2018. So I already saw it as an adult. I watched it at a very point in time where I was very into soul and the existential and why am I even alive right now when other people have died dealing with lesser things. And then I watched Battlestar Galactica, and it didn't really answer any of those questions, but boy, did it it was interwoven into what I was already going through. So I looked at it in a weird prism already. And as time has gone on over these 2 years now, it's like, oh my God, it resonates even more. As time goes on, it becomes more and more and more timeless. Like MASH. MASH is a point in history filmed in the 70s about the 50s. And as time goes on, you're like, oh, look, nothing has changed since the 50s/70s. Like it's the exact same. And it's kind of the same way. David, though, obviously football. I know the answer is football and basketball, but have you watched anything else?
Yeah, so obviously the mainstays that we know from this show is Soul and Civil War, because I had to get ready for today's episode. But I also watched last night, we happened to throw it on, which I hadn't seen, was the Fahrenheit 451 movie with Michael B. Jordan. That was an HBO Max or an HBO exclusive, I guess. We just kind of threw it on because it was getting late, and we're like, we got to put something on, like also Jasmine's family, and throw it on. I gotta say, I looked up the reviews while we were like watching it and like turning it on just to see like what Rotten Tomatoes had to say. Rotten Tomatoes just said it was just awful. Not only the critics, but the audience score was like terrible. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't that bad. And having read the book in high school, I didn't remember everything about the book in high school. But I remember that being one of the books from like, oh, I really like this. This is a good book. I was into the story and everything. Just the concept of it's just great on its own. And to think it was written in 1953, I think. So there were a few things that are different from the book, but overall, Michael B. Jordan's great in it. I didn't find the story to be bad, I guess, simply put. It held my attention. Michael Shannon's kind of like the he's kind of a bad guy in it, in typical Michael Shannon fashion. But I actually wouldn't. Yeah, like I would would kind of recommend it. It wasn't
Okay.
Fahrenheit 451. It's on HBO Max. It's not that long. It was a pretty good movie to me, even though it has terrible reviews. So maybe if you go out there, watch it, audience, like you'll be with them. But I personally didn't mind it. I thought it was interesting. It got me back into the mindset of, oh, right, this society and the history of it, and the then lack of history of it, and the changing of history, which is all just super, super interesting, especially for someone who, studied journalism and is really, really passionate and a proponent of free speech and things like newspapers and media and documents, and where they're just trying to burn all of it and erase it and change history. And that's just one thing that is really important that always stuck with me growing up. Getting taught journalism and all that stuff, and why I got into it is because one thing that always stuck with me is journalists write history books in one way or another. Someone's got to be there to document everything that happens. And that's what people have. Yeah, right. That always has stuck with me.
That's a good line, man.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, go for it. I don't know if I stole it from Mr. Schladorn, my high school journalism teacher. But anyway,
and he stole it from George Orwell. I'm just saying that sounds so Orwellian right there.
Well, exactly, right. So like there is a connection there with someone who enjoys learning about the media and journalism specifically, and these stories where they're basically trying to erase such things. So I found it interesting. Was the movie even good? I don't know. I just love the concept of it, and I thought it entertained me. It entertained me enough, and it wasn't that long. Where like Wonder Woman 84, I'm gonna have a hard time recommending that movie to people because of the length. Because it's like we talked about it last week on episode 38 of Let's Enter Action. It drags in the middle a bit, and it's hard to recommend movies to that. Where it's like, hey, I like the beginning, I like parts of the end. Pedro Pascal's awesome. That's all I got for you. If that's all you want to get out of it, then go ahead. So yeah, that's what I watched. Sorry that ran a bit long, but
it's intriguing because you said you read it in high school.
Yeah.
And man, this is what I have issues with in the Florida education system. They made me read it when I was 13, and I already had mistrust of all of the government, and then it just led to me trusting no one ever in the history of life. Looking back now, I'm like, honestly, the story it's kind of riveting. I hated it. I hated reading it. I did not give a damn, but I did it because I was supposed to. I was a slave to the system. But, as I've gotten older, I'm like, I really appreciate that because it's a play upon what happened in Nazi Germany. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, look, the world is turning into not only 1984, but Fahrenheit 451. And it's just like, how is everyone so blind, David? How is everyone so blind?
Yeah. Well, it was definitely a good watch. I'm glad that movie was made. I don't know if maybe it could have been better, but getting back into that environment and setting of the movie and just kind of the stakes it's the same kind of deal, which really intrigued me. But anyway, like Thomas, you were saying, you listen to new podcasts. If you want to listen to our podcast, we have an audio version of all of our shows. It'll be 36 whole episodes, including interviews. 39, sorry.
There you go. Dyslexia. I'm the captain of that team.
Yep. Thank you. I'm co-captain. 39 episodes, including interviews. Go check it out. You can find all of our audio versions of our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and our hosting site Spreaker. We might be having some ads on there. I went and checked out episode 38, and there was an ad playing ahead of time, which I had signed up for. So sorry about that if you want to skip it, but no, listen to the ads. Help us out.
Whoa. What you mean they're ads? Like our ads, or they put their own ads?
We can talk about it more later, but they are ads, nothing related to us. They're just ads on there.
Spotify, pay us. We need the money. We got rent to pay.
Yeah, I got to look into that later. But anyway, yeah, so go check out our audio podcasts. You can check them out all there. And while you're there, make sure to follow, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Give us a rating, whatever rating you want. 5 stars, however many stars. We appreciate it all. We appreciate all your feedback. And we thank you so much. Thomas, what do you have for me?
As everyone knows, every week we go live right here on our Facebook page of Lights, Thunder Action Show, as well as live right here on the HWWS WebTV channel on YouTube. You can find short clips and us being idiots on Instagram, Twitter, and our own YouTube channel. Those would be in proper order, of course, at Lights Thunder Action, all one word, no hyphens, no spaces on the IG, at LTA Podcasting, that is LTA PODCASTING on Twitter. I love that it rhymes, by the way. It's beautiful. And Lights Thunder Action, exclamation point on the U of Tube. Nope, the Tube of You. That's the joke I was meant to make. David, I'm going to be real honest. Ladies and gentlemen, you're getting some behind the scenes look. I don't remember were we bell curving, right?
Yeah,
we're
gonna start in order that we got here on the show notes.
What's
that?
Okay, cool. Sorry, I was like, there's so much in our show notes, ladies and gentlemen, that it's like 5 pages of us ranting for sure. So we're gonna start right off the bat with David's top 3 of 2020.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So 2020 obviously hasn't been the best year in the world. But here's where I'm going to start off mine. I think me and Thomas might have this one similar. My number one is starting this podcast. Starting Let's Thunder Action. Me and Thomas, I recently wrote a little New Year's kind of Facebook post, and I mentioned it. I said in it, like, the second me and Thomas, the first time we ever connected talking about Marvel or Star Wars or whatever it was, we should have started this podcast. We should have started a podcast right after, because it's just what we love to do. You know, we love it. We love being here. We love talking to you. And honestly, even without anyone watching, this is what we do anyway. So we're just happy we let you guys in and enjoy these conversations as well, and our antics and everything else. So yeah, starting this podcast is definitely one of them when it comes to just something that was a highlight of the year. Absolutely. And yeah, so happy to do it. Happy to be here. Happy to continue on into 2021. It's not one of my top 3 for 2021, but of course, continuing this will be on there as well. Here's my number 2 for top 3 of 2020. Shifting gears a bit. Mandalorian. The Mandalorian to me was I enjoyed the first season of Mando. We know this. Thomas enjoyed it more than I did. I did have some critiques, right? Like at that point, it wasn't, I really enjoyed it. It was the best thing Disney Plus had going for it, but it wasn't this is the greatest thing ever. It was up there because it's such a good movie, or such a good show. Baby Yoda and Mando and everything, great characters. But I was like, oh, there's filler episodes, and I had some critiques, right? This season, a lot less critiques. Season 2 of The Mandalorian is one of the best seasons of television there is, honestly, because it takes what happened. It takes all the good from season 1 and just doubles down on that and makes it better and brings in new characters and more storylines. And it sets things up that you get payoff for in the same season. Unlike in season 1, where we get payoff for season 1 and season 2. So season 2 is really the culmination of those 2 seasons. More than you get less culmination, or kind of not payback, but payoff in season 1 than you get in season 2. You get all the payoff in season 2. They set things up. We get it. We get the finality of that. And now they're setting things up that are going to lead to even more Disney Plus shows. So Mando was an absolute joy. I loved the 8 episodes. I mean, all of them are honestly good. And the last 4 or the last 6, I mean, they're all great, right? Like, it is a great season of television in general, and a great piece of content for Star Wars. I mean, just Star Wars wise, live action, it's now up there for their projects between movies and TV shows and everything else. And I can't wait to see what Favreau and Filoni have next when it comes to all these other shows. So that was number 2 on my top 3 for 2020. And finally, here is my number 3 top, best thing of 2020.
I know what it is.
It's Tenet.
I was wrong.
So we didn't get many movies this year, right? But Tenet, you can go back and watch our review with Kevin Budasang. I don't know if he's in the comments. we had a full spoiler review on Tenet, which actually came out in theaters for a moment there, and back in, what was it, August or September? I don't even remember.
September.
Yeah. And I love that movie. I still haven't re-seen it. I really enjoyed that film. There's a lot going on. I loved John David Washington. I loved oh my gosh, I'm blanking on Batman's name.
Robert Pattinson.
I loved Robert Pattinson, and I thought it was just a really good Nolan film that the more I think about it, the more I want to rewatch it, the more I want to buy the 4K Blu-ray and all the good stuff. Honestly, like, that movie is better the more you think about it, like a lot of Nolan movies are, right? It's one of those where the second time I'd watch it, I'm sure it'll be almost even a better experience because I'll be able to catch on to more stuff. And there was recently a quote I saw. Pattinson said, half the time I didn't know what the hell was going on when we were filming it, which is just fantastic, honestly.
Honestly, half the time, that's acting.
Yeah. Yeah, which was great. And it's also funny because his performance is really good in that. I really thought Tenet was a good film, and it's a gosh darn shame that we didn't get a proper theater release for that and the proper acknowledgement, because it just didn't happen, right? Like, a lot of people didn't see Tenet because it just came out on theaters. There was no HBO Max release or anything like that to go along with it. So it's a shame that Tenet is now going to kind of probably be one of the more forgotten Nolan films, it seems like. But I can see where if more people see it, they will get that kind of fan base for it, and we'll get some more discussion on it, because I kind of missed that, because there's so many Nolan films that people love to talk about, like Inception, Interstellar. To me, this movie isn't that far off from either of those. It's different, but it's really cool, and the action is amazing. So I would totally go check that out if you haven't. It's one of my highlights of 2020 in a year where there weren't many movies.
You know, I just listened to Fat Man Beyond, and they reviewed Tenet, and they're the exact opposite of us. They did not like Tenet.
They didn't like it.
They're like, it's good, but like, I don't understand how like it works in the universe, and like, it could have been shorter, it could have been this, and like, they're like, they set up Inception so that you as the audience member are so there for it, and you understand. So when everything pays off, you're like, right. And Interstellar is the same way. The Prestige is a little bit the same way, and Memento and blah blah blah. And they're like, but Tenet is just like, it's okay.
Yeah,
I'm happy I saw it, but like, it's not going to save theaters. And I'm like, we've discussed this. We never thought it would save theaters. We had hope, but hope is not enough to make mother effers go.
Well, they needed more than just Tenet. Tenet was the first one. It was the guinea pig, really, and then it died. The guinea pig died.
Here's Tenet. We'll see you in maybe January.
Yeah, and even then, especially when Bond moved from November, it was over. Like that was like, all right.
Come out.
Huh?
I forgot that was supposed to come out.
Yeah, I forget when the new release date is, but yeah, that was supposed to be November. Never, yeah. That was one of the movies that's it was being discussed if it was gonna get sold to a streaming service. Wait, is it Warner Brothers? No, it's not Warner Brothers. It's not. No, it's not.
Paramount.
It's right? It's not HBO Max.
Paramount? Yeah, it's not. All right, well, we'll go into my top three. My top three is a lot less educated than yours. Mine's a little bit more selfish.
That's okay.
So for me, number three would be feature film castings. I'm an actor. My goal is to, I mean, I'll be honest. My goal is to play a Sith in Star Wars and make the entire world fear me because I can do whatever I want. But also, like, I want to be a Marvel superhero because I can do whatever I want. But I was blessed to be cast in my first ever feature film, which I went to Texas, and it's ironic that you talked about Tenet, because that was the episode where I was in Texas and I was on my phone and Kevin filled in for me, and I just hopped in because my mind was so blown from Tenet that I couldn't not talk about it. I think I sent you 45 texts in a matter of 5 minutes about my thoughts on Tenet, and you were just like, okay, join the show. But like, I was so blessed. Like, that is my ultimate goal, is to be in TV and films. And I've done short films, I've done student films, I've done, little skits for YouTube, but my first ever feature film with folks who I've seen in other projects throughout years. That was such a blessing for me. I was so incredibly lucky to be able to, honestly, that just fell into my lap. And like all actors talk about, it's because somebody some point down the line said no, and it fell to me. And I'm so excited for A Course You Can to come out. And then, I haven't, I've mentioned it, but like I haven't put this big fanfare out. But in 2021, in spring of this year, I'll be filming my next feature film, which is a sci-fi film called Zombies. You can't not yell it. It's in all caps every time I see it. So Zombies, it's about zombie bees, which, as you know me, I love a good pun. And B.O.B., that is amazing. So I'm very excited about that. And it's a sci-fi film. It's made with cheese and love. And it's going to be, I get to play a drug dealer, which is how I got my start as an actor. Long hair, long beard. What can I say? I just get off that vibe. So like I've been very blessed to be cast in 2 feature films within months of each other. And by the end of 2021, I don't know when Zombies will release. My gut tells me probably in 2022, but like if both release in 2021, then that makes all the bullshit that I went through in 2020. I mean, it's already worth it to me. I filmed it. That's enough for me. If it comes out and people like it and people enjoy it and it leads to more opportunities down the road, that's the icing on the cake, man. Like I do everything I do for the love of the podcast, watching Marvel movies, cooking. I cook because I love to cook. And more importantly, because I love to eat. Oh my God. Give me food. But like that's my, and I'm going in the opposite order of you. You went 1, 2, 3. I'm going 3, 2, 1. Like I'm building up.
Mine was in no particular order. Yeah.
I mean, that's true. That is very true. Yours was definitely in no particular order. Mine is 3, 2, 1. Like that's a personal thing for me, for my career, for my selfishness. But my number 2 is virtual conventions and announcements. Like we had Comic-Con virtual. We had DC fandom. We had the Disney investors call.
Yeah.
And I'm still surprised that I've never had the cops called on me for how much I scream like a freaking woman and cry in my own house.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me. But of course, like I can't even, can you believe the amount of things we've learned just by sitting in front of a computer in 2020? Like all the horrible things that have happened this year, we learned, we got the debut of a Suicide Squad, like behind the scenes thing.
Yeah,
we got the debut of actual concept art of the Flash movie with Michael Keaton back as Batman. Are you kidding me, dude? I can't. Although, like, I'm still happy we haven't seen DeVito back as the Penguin because I don't. My fear range can't handle that. And we then we got a behind the scenes on the boys could be an entire list unto its own. Like 2020 gave us so many great things for being at home. And then the Disney investors call, man, where not only did we not anticipate, what was it? I think 17 Marvel announcements of some sort, and then 10 Star Wars shows / movie announcements, only for them to be like, by the way, here's Boba Fett. And it's like, 2020, what are you doing to me? And then
if y'all haven't already, go check out our holiday special episode, talking about all of that Disney investor meeting stuff, because we did a special episode where that's all we talk about. Nothing else. That is it. So go check that out everywhere.
David is a better promoter than I am. I'm just going to tell you, if you got a car ride you got to go through, listen to me yell for about 3.5 hours on one episode. Trust me, you'll be excited, and then you might forget to make a pit stop to take a pee.
It's a good one. We break it all down. We share our thoughts. It's a lot.
I still can't believe we got all that stuff in like a 45-minute span for just Marvel, man. And they gave us a WandaVision trailer twice.
Fantastic Four's coming. That's my big
God,
thing.
I can't even like go. Okay, anyways, back to the plot. But I would be remiss if I did not mention the first ever virtual convention and the very reason that we started our podcast of CyberCon, created and hosted by the HWWS WebTV family, Pop Dina, Sage from the Hangin with Web show. Without them, there is no Lights Thunder Action. They were like, hey, we're thinking of doing something super insane. How crazy are we? I'm like, you're not crazy enough. You won't stay up all night, pussies. And they were like, oh, thanks for challenging us, Thor. Now we have to. And I was like, yes, you do. I instantly messaged. David was the first person I messaged and was like, hey, do you want to start a podcast? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. We already have a first booking. No pressure. And we started. It was great. And honestly, like CyberCon, and I'm bringing this back. We're going to take a small, mild tangent. It's not going to be that great because I'm pretty sure David hasn't seen this show either. It allowed me to become even closer to someone I met in 2019, which is a highlight of 2019, of going to Ranger Stop in November in Orlando and meeting not just like almost all of my childhood heroes from Power Rangers, which I'm wearing. Go Power Rangers. It allowed me to meet Christian motherfracking Ingram, who's also a Power Rangers fan. He's got a Power Rangers fan film coming. He and I, because of CyberCon, ended up talking every day for like 6 months because we were getting our favorite season of Power Rangers in space, the 6 of the 7 main actors of that show together for a Power Rangers in space panel, to the point that, like I say in our interviews, I'm just excited to be in the same virtual space as, like William Sadler, Melinda M. Snodgrass, Monty Michael Moore, the gentleman from Hasm Productions of Rodney Fike, and I forgot his name. Last second. And it's such an easy name to remember.
It was Rodney and Eamon. I can't pronounce his first name. Eamon. I could never go back to that episode. I can't pronounce his first name.
And all I can remember is like, it's Game of Thrones. Oh, great. 85 characters of names to remember.
Eamon,
we got to meet all of them, and I'm just like, I'm just happy to be here. Hey, remember when you did that thing? That's how Christian and I were in this panel. We were just there. Man, we were there, and it's just like, I'm just happy to be here, Pat Sajak. Like, I ain't winning Wheel of Fortune, but I'm on it. And that gives me to a small tangent. David, have you seen Cobra Kai? Any of it?
I have not. No, but I've never seen.
Because I'm not either. Are you about to say you've never seen The Karate Kid?
Correct. I've never seen The Karate Kid, so like I have no even.
I didn't want to blow your eardrums, ladies and gentlemen, so I muted my mic while I screamed really bad.
I've never seen it. I don't know what to say.
Oh my God, David! Honestly, you're missing out, bro. Like I have memories of being a 2-year-old child and watching. I think is it Karate Kid 1? There's a scene where they all dress up in like skeleton outfits and go rob a place. I'm pretty sure it's Karate Kid 1, but it might be the opening of Karate Kid 2 or like a random scene. But yeah, man, I've not seen any of Cobra Kai, Christian. I know that you're upset with me. I'm upset with me because I'm very excited. And I actually know someone who's in season 3 of Cobra Kai as well. I worked with him on Corsicana. So it's beautiful how all of this is just weaving together, because my number one, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, my list is very selfish. My number one is the creation of a Lights Thunder Action. I've mentioned this pretty much every week. David and I work together at Clemente at the Florida Tech gym, and I am it's so funny how the world works, because my brother, Adam Irizarry, the real Superman, helped hire me when I started working at that gym. And then he left and I took over his job. And then that same year that he left and I took over his job, I helped hire David. at that same gym. And it was like, because Adam and I talked about DC, Marvel, a little bit of Star Wars. He's not as deep into the Star Wars lore as I am, but you know, he watched Arrow, Flash, Legends, all of those shows while we were all getting into it at the same time. So we would have those conversations. When he left, I was 1000% depressed because he left, my grandma died, I graduated, everyone I knew had left me, I was going to die, all the things I loved were no longer fun, I was becoming Andy Dwyer from that one episode of Parks and Recreation, and then David got hired, and at 5:45 on like his first shift, I mentioned something about Marvel, and he's like, oh dude, I love Spider-Man, he's my favorite character, and I'm like, cool, because Superman, you ain't him. You are Penis Parker.
Let's not bring that back, please.
Oh my God. I say penis. You say Parker. I'm so sorry. He is the real Peter Parker to me, man. He is Spider-Man. And with 2020 going the way of the birds, as it were, man, we created Lights Under Action. And it is literally my favorite part of it. I won't lie, because why would I ever lie? I have mad anxiety. So anytime I'm like, hey man, what's your schedule like this week? And he's like, oh, I don't know yet. My schedule hasn't come out. I'm like, my head hurts so fracked, man. We're never going to have a show this week. And then we get it scheduled and I'm like, life's good, man. We're going to talk about our things. We're just going to make it up as we go and life will be a lot better. That is my number one of 2020. And now we need to move on because we are like eating away at our time slot here. David, what's your top 3 of 2021?
Yes. So my top 3 of 2021. Here we go. Number 1, no particular order again, but I'm just going to go through these pretty quickly. The first one is the theaters coming back. Right now, there are no theaters. Like we talked about, Tenet failed to really like resurge the theaters. And in 2021, due to all of the movies that are stackpiling in that year that are coming out in theaters, and we forget the first real big one for especially us, Morbius is still set in March for a theatrical release. And that's just 3 months away now. So that could be the first one coming out. We'll see how it goes. But even if it's not immediately, even if it's even after like Black Widow, the theaters will hopefully, it seems like, will be coming back into some, and that'll lead into one of our bits of news later. The theaters should be coming back, and let's just with the assumption, we probably shouldn't make assumptions. Let's just hope they do in some way. I can't wait. I miss the theater. I love the theater. I hate seeing like picture, like people are now saying like there's like some tweets where it's like it's just the shot of it, or like a TikTok. The shot of like a hallway in a movie theater where you see all like the posters and all the entrances, and it's like I miss that feeling. It's like, oh my gosh, do I ever? Because I haven't been to a theater in a while, because I mean there hasn't been any movies coming out in theaters. So I just cannot wait for when the normal routine is going to a theater and, you know, actually like using our, if it's Movie Pass or not Movie Pass, but AMC A-List or Regal Unlimited, like when going to a theater is a regular occurrence and it's normal and that's just the way life goes. And that leads me to my second point. My number 2 is the Disney Plus explosion that's coming, which is the other end of that, right? So with the theaters, well, a lot of people are saying the theaters are going to die or whatever. The theaters should be coming back in some form or fashion, but at the same time, MCU and Star Wars, just Disney in general, is going to be pumping out so much Disney Plus content, right? So I cannot wait for that. You know, we're getting like, as of right now on Disney Plus, it's basically all been Mandalorian, right? So I just cannot wait for all of a sudden we're getting the MCU. We're getting even more Star Wars. Disney Plus is going to be a like mainstay. You're always, you know, I'm always turning on Disney Plus, not just once a week or whenever I need to watch Civil War. Whenever I need to like catch up for Trilogy of Trilogies, I go on Disney Plus. It's going to be awesome when it's a weekly thing. It's maybe even more than that when more shows start crossing over and stuff. I'm just excited for Disney Plus. By the end of 2021, it's going to be a juggernaut with only growing and thriving. So I can't wait for that. My third and final, to no one's surprise, Thomas, you know what this is.
I know. I smell it.
Spider-Man 3. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting a third Spider-Man. I can't wait. All the rumors are going crazy. I don't
The
care.
last one? Question mark?
I hope not.
Me same.
We're getting Spider-Man 3. I cannot wait. Tom Holland. There's all these rumors about everybody coming back. We know Electro's back. We know Doc Ock's back. There's all these crazy rumors about it. It's going to tie into Multiverse of Madness. It's filming right now. We didn't get a special look in December. But I cannot wait. It comes out next December. We're 11 months away now. If you guys don't know me, I just live, breathe Spider-Man. I defend every Spider-Man movie. I don't care what it is. I love Spider-Man. Yes, he is, Terry. Yes, he is.
Terry McGregor in the comments. Everyone else is. I can't even. Sorry.
So that is my. I guess that was in ascending order because Spider-Man 3 is what I'm looking forward to the most. Point blank. Period. Because that's what I love in life is a good Spider-Man movie, and this is a building, culminating MCU Spider-Man. Like, come on, like let's go. This is gonna be fantastic. I cannot wait. John Watts returning. I just hope they don't write him out of the MCU. That's my biggest fear, obviously. But
not in this one. Because it would be in Multiverse of Madness somehow.
We'll see. Either way, it's Spider-Man. I can't wait. We're getting another Tom Holland Spider-Man film. It's going to be a trilogy. It's going to be another trilogy of trilogies. And this is a Spider-Man one. So I cannot wait for Spider-Man 3. Can't wait for an announcement for the name where we stop calling it Spider-Man 3. But yeah, that is my big announcement. That is my big excitement for 2021.
Are you ready? Are you ready? I just thought of this title while you were saying that.
Okay.
Spider-Man, the Ultimate Homecoming.
They just call it the Ultimate Homecoming.
Let's think about it. We get Andrew back. We get Toby back. Maybe we get some people that we didn't even know we needed as Spider-Man, like the voice actor from the 1996 greatest ever Spider-Man story ever on a screen in the history of ever. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I went far. I did it. I leapt, and I may or may not have fallen into a canyon and died. Who knows? Dude, seriously though, like, could you imagine if we get like not just them? What if we get the live action Japanese Spider-Man? That is a thought I've never had until now.
I think that could happen. Well, maybe not live action, but I think the Japanese Spider-Man could show up in Spider-Verse too.
I think he will show up in Spider-Verse, but like, frack it, dude. Why not? It's not like he's not alive or anything. He's totally there, and he loves what he did. And it's just, anyways, we're running out of time. Here's my top 3, and it's pretty simple. Again, the first one is very selfish. Profiting off my art. My goal is to stop having to go to day jobs that ruin my soul and like taint it with, why am I even alive? But to make this the joy that I have doing podcast, acting, my editing, my voiceover stuff, all of it, make that my full-time job. That is my honestly, this isn't even like a guarantee. This is just like my goal for 2021. But it leads to an actual thing that will be happening. That is live in-person conventions. And I am so very excited for those happening because they will at some point. There's no way that all of the conventions ever just stop happening. Yeah. Right. So of course. I'm, and we are, spoiler alert for what may or may not be a thing or that does or does not happen. We are planning to do Pensacon, David and I. We have our application we're going to send in. We're hoping to get that panel approved, and David and I will have our first ever recording of Lights Thunder Action together in the same GPS coordinate on the map. The same, county even would be nice. Who knows? Maybe that'll happen. Maybe it won't. It all depends on if things get approved. My chair is attacking me. But that's my first one that I'm excited for 2021. It's just things getting back to not just normal, but extra normal, where we get paid for doing the things we love. Because I know like my whole family, their entire lives have just done jobs to make money to provide for the family. And that's why I don't have a family to provide for. I just have a 29-year-old, big, bearded, beautiful baby boy of bouncing joy to feed, who eats way too much. And my food budget's wild. Now, David was very specific. I'm just going to say it right here. My number 2, the future of Star Wars. We are getting the Bad Batch in 2021. We are getting, I believe we're getting, Star Wars Visions in 2021? Or is it a droid story?
Visions. Yeah.
Visions.
Not a droid story. Yeah, Visions.
We are getting the book of Boba Fracking Fett Man. May or may not be the official title. But the future of Star Wars is bright. Oh! And by the way, tomorrow, the High Republic officially starts. And all I can think is, give it to me. Give me the Jedi before the fall of Jedi. I'm ready. My brain is ready. My body is ready. And boy, did some news drop about that. Tease for everyone's favorite segment of the week coming up later. And of course, my number 1, David chose Spider-Man. And I understand. But of course, Thor: Love and Thunder doesn't come out until 2022. So for my number 1, it's my Marvel drugs. I have gone through what is it? July to January. That is 1 year, 5 months and change of withdrawal, man. Withdrawal. My Marvel drugs, man. Like, let me just say it right here now. My grandfather got me into comics when I was a child.
Yeah.
All right. So every time my sister would go to voice lessons, my grandfather would take me to the comic shop, to the bookstore, to look at comics. And he was always like, "Oh, buy anything you want." And I never bought anything because I understood it. Like 7 years old, they come in sequential order. It's like an episode. It's like a series. I can't do it without knowing the rest of the story. So the first comic I ever bought was the X-Men movie graphic novel adaptation. And it was Marvel, man. It was always Marvel. I love Batman. That was my first ever animated show, comic book show that I remember. But Spider-Man captured my heart when I was 8 years old. And Spider-Man was my first Marvel character that I loved. And so the fact that we get Spider-Man in the MCU and we get all these other amazing characters that I already knew about, we get WandaVision, baby. We're going to get Falcon and Winter Soldier. And boy, do I have some stuff from Civil War to tease later. And we get Loki, that lying son of a cath hound. And of course, we're getting Eternals. We're Black Widow. I'm missing a movie. What's the live action movie? Shang-Chi is this year. What? And then of course, we're getting like Hawkeye.
Hawkeye's supposed to come out this year.
What
yeah.
If?
Miss Marvel, Falcon Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki. What if? Yep.
They're gonna give me an overdose of Marvel drugs, and I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna yell a lot for 2020.
It's 10 projects right now.
My brain can't handle it. My brain cannot handle it. But that's my top 3 for 2021 that I'm excited for. David, were we going movie, news, movie, or news, movie, movie? I can't recall what I said.
We're going to do news next.
News next. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back right after with everyone's favorite segment of the week.
JBauerArt has the graphic design skills you need to develop your next logo and at an affordable price. But he's not just a one-trick pony. Follow JBauerArt on social media to interact during live paintings and see all of his previous artwork, which you can buy exclusively at JBauerArtShop.com. Not only is he an artist, this beautiful son of a blue brings you the Back Talk with Bauer podcast every week with unique guests. And every month he hosts a special
Back Talk with Friends episode that can only be described as chaotic and hilarious. Need a video intro or commercial? JBauerArt has you covered. For all of this and more, follow JBauerArt on social media. That's JBauerArt. Check out JBauerArt.com for a full portfolio and JBauerArtShop.com to buy that special painting for you and your loved ones.
What the news?
What the news indeed. Ladies and
All
gentlemen,
right.
David has brought some amazing, mind-blowing news for us. David, what do you got?
Yeah, so our first one up today is, we've talked about this, AMC is supposed to be running out of money. They've been running out of money since we started this podcast back in, March? AMC is hoping to raise $125 million to in fresh funding round as it fights bankruptcy. Here are the points. AMC is offering 50 million new shares for sale in a fresh funding round to stave off bankruptcy. Good sign for all of us, especially with my excitement for 2021, hoping that the theaters don't die, especially, with HBO Max and everything, former media. The largest cinema chain in the world raised $104 million earlier this month, talking about AMC, selling roughly 38 million of 200 million in available shares. And the shares of the company closed down 5.7% on Wednesday and have slumped by 70% since January. So those are kind of the points here. Essentially, AMC is trying to survive. They're trying to raise money. They are not trying to let the theaters die, despite Warner Brothers making HBO Max a thing where not only do all of the DC and Dune and all those Warner Brothers movies coming out in theaters, but also on HBO Max. And everyone after that announcement, including myself, was saying this could be the end of theaters. But the good news is AMC is still going to be trying and keep them alive. They are the biggest chain in the US. So that would be a huge blow. But I've always thought and figured, I don't know if I've really shared this on the show before, will they really die? The problem with theaters business-wise, at least from what I understand, is that it's the real estate, right? We've all found through the pandemic how much productivity can happen without actually being in a physical place. It seems like a lot of companies will not continue to maybe keep some cubicles, some buildings, some areas for people to work when they can save that rent money and do the same amount of job at home. The issue is people love going to the movie theaters. Me and Thomas love going to the movie theaters. And you can't just make that up in your house. People try to. There's home theaters, I understand. There's all these sort of different things. But people still love to go out in crowds. And that just, of course, has not been a thing in 2020. So they can't replicate that as much. And that's the issue with movie theaters in general, is that they have to shell out so much money because movie theater chains like this, like AMC, they don't own those movie theaters, right? They are renting, they're buying those buildings, but not buying the buildings. They're just renting those buildings, and they have to put out a lot of money. Being the biggest chain in America, it's a two-sided coin, right? I mean, it's great. It sounds fantastic. They're the biggest, but you also have to pay those prices of being the biggest. That means you have the most theaters, which means you're paying the most rent. And in 2020, it's a wonder they're still even surviving at all, because there's been basically nothing. They're still having to pay the rent on those buildings because they're not going anywhere, and the rent collectors aren't going anywhere either. So, and I know they've put off some of it. Not all. They haven't had to pay all of it right now because of everything happening. But it's good to see. They're selling some shares. They're raising money. They're trying to survive. And they are the biggest. But here's the thing, too. Even if they didn't survive, movie theaters could be in trouble from the standpoint of the amount of them. But I think even if AMC had to sell off some theaters, they could still go to smaller theater chains. Because that's the thing of movie theaters, right? I mean, sure, any building could be renovated to be whatever it needs to be. But AMC, like you're selling all these theaters. Those are movie theaters. You're going to be typically selling them to maybe a smaller movie theater chain, maybe just like a local town, county that wants to take that over and make it into their own movie theater that doesn't have to go through it being this bigger chain. But from the perspective of someone like me or Thomas, who had AMC A-List, well, it started with Movie Pass, which was fantastic for those of you that used that for the limited time it existed. And then AMC A-List, and then now where I'm living in, there's Regal, which has on Regal Unlimited. You want the beauty of having all those movie theaters is because, well, the beauty of having those subscriptions is because of all those movie theaters. You sign up for a certain tier, and well, I think on A-List it's just anything, but on Regal you sign up for a certain tier, and you can get every single Regal theater in the entire country or in the world or whatever. And you can just go, you pay your monthly fee, and you can just go basically for free to go see any movie at any Regal. So that's been a really smart move by these theater chains before COVID, obviously, when everything was ruined. But before that, these subscription services were really working well for them because it was getting people into the theater. It was getting a lot of big time movie fans that, you know, went to the movies all the time, were signing up, and there was more value now in having all of those theaters because your customers, your devoted customers that were going to the theater, you know, 2, 3, 4 times a month, were being able to travel to all these different theaters that you're paying rent for. So I think we're going to move on to the next news topic. Thomas is still out right now, but this is pretty good news. AMC should survive. And let's move on to some big news. And I kind of have one specific kind of angle on this. So here we go. We just talked about it. Star Wars coming back. Star Wars The High Republic is beginning tomorrow with, I think, the first novel being released. And now it has been announced that The High Republic, their series through comics and books, and I think maybe some not animated, but stuff like that, it is going to be in 3 phases, kind of similar to like a Marvel phase. So here are the 3 phases. The first phase is Light of the Jedi. The second phase is Quest of the Jedi. And the third phase is Trials of the Jedi. And it has also been announced that we, like, beginning tomorrow and throughout this entire year, going into 2021, it will be phase 1 of the High Republic, titled Light of the Jedi. And we can see how, you know, things will lead to the downfall. So Light of the Jedi, Quest, and then Trials of the Jedi. And here's my thing, right? With everything announced at the investor meeting for Disney, one of the things that I was most excited about, Marvel, Star Wars, especially Star Wars, was Acolyte, which is the upcoming Disney Plus show that's pinned as a mystery thriller. And it'll be at the fall of the High Republic, at the end of that era, right? It's supposed to take place 50 years before Phantom Menace. So some familiar faces could be there. And I just think, I really want to hear Thomas's thoughts on this. I think these phases of the High Republic, if they work this right, it could lead straight into Acolyte, which would be just brilliant storytelling in my mind. Because if you can just build up this, you know, maybe not everyone's going to be reading the books and reading the comics, but there'll be enough Star Wars fans. And then they come out with this Disney Plus show. That's just going to be awesome. Who knows, like, how the story will really go. But it's about, I forget the exact description of it, but it's a mystery thriller. It's about kind of the dark side of rising within this High Republic, right? And that could be a part of the Trials of the Jedi. Maybe we will see a book or a comic going side by side with Acolyte. Like, it could be like almost supplemental, entertainment along with Acolyte. I just think that this furthers my assumption. And I guess it also gives me some room for excitement of this plan they might be in place, because we didn't get a release date for Acolyte. That project did seem a bit ways off. And if these phases are going to take 3 years, maybe that's when we get Acolyte. I think some people might be expecting it before that, but it could run hand in hand. Like, Trials of the Jedi, phase 3 of the High Republic, could be where Acolyte lands as well. So I am very excited for this. I cannot wait to see what the Acolyte show is. And I'm excited for High Republic as well. It's really just books and comics. I'll probably read more of the comics than the books, but Thomas, catch you up. I think that well, here are the phases, right? Light of the Jedi, Quest of the Jedi, Trials of the Jedi. For the High Republic, I think that this could lead straight into Acolyte, right? Where Trials of the Jedi could either like end and then it's Acolyte time, or they'll go side by side. And then the first phase, also a bit of news, is that the first phase, Light of the Jedi, is going to run. So all this content is a part of Light of the Jedi, and it's going to run through 2021 and into 2022 a little bit. Thomas, do you have any thoughts on that?
Give it to me. Honestly, David sent me this article earlier, and I was like, I don't want any spoilers because the first book comes out tomorrow, and I've been avoiding everything for the last 3 weeks because I know that they're gonna say one word that gives me the clue of what's gonna happen. Like leading into WandaVision in a moment, like I watched 15 seconds of a trailer and I already have more ideas than is healthy for any human being from 15 seconds of footage. So I wanted to avoid all of this. And he's like, there's nothing spoilery. They just named the phases. And I was like, ooh, I can do that.
Yeah.
I agree. I think phase 3 will kind of either lead into Acolyte or run slightly parallel with Acolyte. I think the overlap will be very small. I don't think it'll be as much as Clone Wars in episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I think it'll be a little bit less. Like when they mentioned that Dooku was already dead in Clone Wars, spoiler alert. I was like, oh my God, holy crap. We're in it now. We're in the end game now. But then they kept going and I was like, oh, I mean, like we knew they were going to touch on Order 66. They'd already kind of mentioned it, but like that's deep into the movie, man. That's like the last, oh my God, what is it? That is like the last 20. That's the last hour of that movie, you know? Mm-hmm. I think after Order 66, then you're just like, oh, now it's the resolution of that climactic decision. And then it really puts the prequels into perspective with you. And I think phase 1, 2, and 3 is going to be that same kind of thing. Yeah. Although I do think the crossover with the Acolyte will be a little bit less. Although maybe the Acolyte crosses over even more because it will be flashbacks in the beginning, kind of, oh, hey, by the way, this is how we did this thing leading to the Nile, doing this thing in the High Republic, and then this thing, and the High Republic takes place over like what, 250 years or something, right?
Yeah. It's High Republic, I think it's supposed to be over a course of 2 years. And Acolyte's supposed to take place 50 years before Phantom Menace, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you say the High Republic is
200 years?
Okay, 200 years.
Sorry, yeah, 200.
Yeah, I freaked out for a second. I was like, do I not know how to read? Which is honestly a question I ask. I ask that question every day. So I was like, damn, dude, did I get myself here? Listen, I've already pre-ordered Light of the Jedi. And you did? Okay. Oh, buddy, I have an extra Audible credit that I've been saving up. And I'm like, do I buy, spoiler alert, I have 2, I'm going to be on 2 Star Wars podcasts this week. One is the Troubled Trooper podcast, and he gave me some ideas on books I might need to read. And also the Derek Diamond Experience, I'll be re-guesting on there doing Mandalorian Season 2 Roundtable. So cool. When it comes to the Star Wars, baby, I'm there. Got to move the camera for those that are visual. Oh, let the hate flow through you. Yes. But like I'm so deep in the Star Wars that my dad, whenever Star Wars comes up, he kind of like he goes, okay, tell me what's happening, because he knows I'm gonna freak out. Every time he knows I'm gonna freak out. So I'm super excited on the High Republic. I am very, very, very high on the High Republic. Yeah. And I'm ready. Like my body is ready. This is when it first was announced, David, do you remember what I said?
I don't. When it was first announced, I have no idea what you said.
Oh, it's gonna be books. Well, I'm fucked.
Yeah, true.
Exactly what it was. And then I got an Audible subscription in like mid 2020 and then realized, oh my God, I have like 6 months of credit. I can buy 6 Star Wars books. I can buy 6 Star Wars books. And then I went down the deepest, darkest rabbit hole of Star Wars books, and they're not enough. Like, there's like 7 books that I have on my wish list that have already been released, but I've been saving for the High Republic. And the comics also, by the way, come out on Wednesday.
Exciting. You know what I have to say? Something about comics really quick and Marvel is they should have a Marvel Unlimited Plus subscription where you don't just like I would pay extra money if it's the subscription that I already have, but the comics that come out come out on the same day for the subscribers, because right now you like Marvel comics and Star Wars comics under Marvel Unlimited, you get them like months later, right? So if you want to read a comic day one, what?
6 months, right?
Yeah, like 6 months later, which is a super long time, and it's frustrating. And they don't drop all at the same time too. They drop like week by week too, even when they do come out. So it's a slow process. I mean, Marvel Unlimited is awesome because the catalog is ginormous. But I wish, honestly, not even just this current price. I would pay more for a subscription where I get the comics on the day of for Marvel. So Marvel, if you're listening, do that. That'd be great. I think I would pay you more so I could get the comics with the full catalog, almost like Disney Plus, but like Marvel Unlimited Plus for comics, where you get the day of, and then also have the full catalog for everything else that you love on Marvel Unlimited at the same time. Thank you. That is my rant.
But
listen, we're Marvel. We don't need you to shut up and take my money.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. Here is our final piece of news today, which is pretty exciting, especially with what's coming up. WandaVision apparently has finally announced. A Disney official press release has announced that WandaVision will be 9 episodes. 9.
let's go!
Not 8, not 10, but 9. And it all kicks off January 15th. People have already doing the math where it could lead right into Falcon Winter Soldier. Time-wise, there might not even be a math. What's that?
It has to. Give me my drug. Give me my drug.
So yeah. Which is, I mean, 9's interesting, especially because they say it's a 6-hour. That's the thing too. 9 episodes, 6 hours. That's what we're expecting because the director said 6 hours.
Fan story, real fast.
Let's go.
The first 2 those quote unquote sitcom episodes will be exactly 22 to 28 minutes each. So we get maybe 3 episodes that cover an hour and a half. Then we get 6 episodes at 45 minutes each that will then make up the next 4.5 hours. 45 times 6 is 6 hours minus 15 times 3 is, yes, that math works out beautifully because 6 minus an hour and a half is 4.5 hours. I have mathed my way to a Marvel degree. Thank you.
So I'm excited, right? I mean, we kind of expected this range of episodes, probably like 8 or 10, but here we are at 9. So it's exciting. We know we're going to get less than or however Thomas was putting it, less than hour episodes. So they should be, pretty quick. Honestly, the fact that we're getting, this is the first Marvel Phase 4 Disney Plus is WandaVision, which is going to be a weird show, really enjoyable, but weird. I can't wait. I'm excited to see how they tell it. Maybe Thomas is onto something with the way you threw it out, but yeah, 9 episodes, starts January 15th. Can't wait.
11 days, David.
11 days away.
My dad doesn't give a frack about Marvel. So you bet your bottom tuchus that I'm gonna watch it first thing in the I'm not even gonna cook breakfast before I watch this.
Yeah. I'll probably stay up actually maybe that night. Just because it's the first one.
Psychopath. You know what? Give me 15 seconds to look up my work schedule because I might do the same thing.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure my work schedule either, but I might just do it either way because I'll be so excited. Like, it'll just be such hype. It's the first Marvel we've gotten in how many months? There's that
Friday the 15th.
Friday the 15th.
I will not stay up. I work 9 a.m. to 6:30.
Yeah, probably not smart.
So I will wake up promptly. Okay. Did you mention that there's 2 episodes dropping the first week?
So is speculative, right? That wasn't a part of it, but it seems like that's the case, that there could be 2 dropping the first week and then it's week by week after that. I did not mention that. No.
2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going.
So I was gonna move on to the next thing.
Is Falcon Winter Soldier premiering?
But if they did, I wonder, would they drop 2? If they do drop 2 episodes in that first week, you think it'll both be on Friday, or will you think it'd be separate?
It's March 19th for Falcon and Winter Soldier, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me hit you. 15, 1, 22, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9 ends March 12th. The next
There you go.
Are you effing they're gonna give me all the Marvel drugs on a week. I'm so sick, I can't. And then May. What is Black Widow's date? We're gonna do this right now live.
I think it's May 1st.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It can't be May 1st. May 1st is a Saturday.
Is it May 6th?
It might be May 7th. Because
7th Friday.
They say Falcon and Winter Soldier is also a 6-hour thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they actually, because it's a drama, go on that hour mark or right near it, 19 is 1, 26 is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes, which 100% lines up with 6 hours at 45 minutes, give or take. You lose about an hour and you lose 1.75 hours. So you're just under 6 hours. It would end April 30th and Black Widow comes out May 7th. Are they going to give us Marvel every week, bro?
I hope so. And Loki right after.
When does Loki premiere? May, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's happening.
And then What If? And then Shang-Chi.
Stay calm, David. Stop. I said stay fucking calm. They're doing it. It is my dream world 2021. Fuck, man. Holy crap. Oh my God. I'm not okay.
Well, if you didn't believe Thomas that Marvel was one of his top exciting things of the year, now you do.
That's all the news, right?
That's all the news. And you
Oh,
know
man.
what's next.
Yeah, man, we gotta take a commercial break because I have to compose myself, which won't happen, but we'll try. Yeah. Reels and Heels is a podcast that discusses movies, television, wrestling, and more. With a rotating guest list of friends and filmmakers alike, Reels and Heels salutes the creative arts of all kinds. Join Brian Wenzeloff and Nicole Jobin live every Saturday at 2:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Reels and Heels. Dude, I'm just saying, like, before we get into our next segment, like, I need a cigarette. Like, I don't even smoke, but like, that was a mindgasm. I can't.
Yeah.
I have been praying that they would do this with Marvel stuff. And then when you realize that there's 6 series or something like that with 6 to 7 episodes a week, that's 36 weeks. That's over half a year. If they extend it further, which What If is an animated show, there's the likelihood that it extends to 10 or 12 episodes. Then that extends another 6 weeks max, maybe 8 weeks. Then you get over 42 episodes a week. You take off 3 movies. Oh my God, dude. We literally, dude, I can't. My brain hurts. This is why you don't give Thomas any numbers, because then he's going to recognize what's happening, and then it's going to happen.
Thomas, I do have an issue.
Uh-oh.
My laptop is going to die. Do we need like an intermission or something?
You need an intermission.
Or do you want to just talk about Soul or
shit, we're supposed to talk about Soul.
Yeah. I got to get on my phone. And I don't know how to like log in on here. Everyone, my laptop sucks. It's not charging for some reason. I apologize.
The audio version. Here comes Thomas promoting other stuff. Awkward. No. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, for our live show, while David gets, technology, it's kind of a dick, That's why I say you don't trust Skynet or the Cylons or any of that. His laptop does not like being alive. It's committing suicide, which sucks. So he's going to hop on his phone. David, you just use the email that we've always used, and I'll do the magic on my end. I will fill time. And remember that at 1 hour, 20 minutes, don't remove the beginning first, cut out the middle first, then fix the ends for the audio. Are you kidding me? T last name 2010 Gmail.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. So technology, man. So fun fact, when we did Tenet, I did do it from my phone. So David's about to join what I did. And David, if you have your Apple iPhone headphones, that's
I'm
Apple.
gonna throw them in.
Those work amazing because I listened back to that podcast and I don't sound like absolute butthole.
Yeah.
Which is exciting because there is one episode in Lights Interaction, episode 6 or 7. Okay, listen, I'm talking after I got the mic and we found out that my laptop did the thing that it did. I think it's like 6 or 7. I just sound like butthole because my mic, I didn't know how to connect my mic properly. But Soul, I'm gonna jump right into Soul. And I was really hoping that that we honestly, it's a bummer because now I'm gonna have to fill time with like I have a 5-sentence review of Soul because it's that damn good.
Well, I'm still here.
If you've not seen how many minutes do you have? Can you give your version of Soul before I give my version? Because my version is like a wrap up.
Yeah, I can try to. Also, I sent you the code, by the way. So if you want to work on that on the email. Yeah, guys, Soul. So sorry for the technical difficulties. Soul, I liked it. My girlfriend did not. We were watching.
I love you. You're beautiful, Soul, but you're dead to me.
She was
22.
Yeah. I like Soul, right? I thought it was a pretty good movie. Thomas liked it definitely more than I did. Thomas liked it more than anyone I've seen. But it's totally like a good Pixar flick. I would totally recommend it for kids. But more than kids, like it told a really interesting story. I think they were totally kind of. It was probably one of the more experimental Pixar films, I would say, because something Jasmine was saying was, Coco. She was comparing it to Coco a lot. Coco, it had this kind of premise of like Day of the Dead and all this certain stuff where she was saying in Soul, they're just kind of like making it up. Like it's kind of just like coming out of nowhere. And I'm like, yeah, I see what you're saying where you could like tie things to more. She was also just bored or whatever. It doesn't matter. This isn't her review. It's my review. I think that they did a good job of setting up great characters. And by the end, it is emotional. And it's a Pixar movie, right? Like it does all those things that Pixar movies are supposed to do. They give kids what they want, and they let adults actually be able to enjoy a kid's film, quote unquote. I am just really happy that Pixar is doing it again. I haven't even seen Onward yet, and I'm excited to see that too, because that obviously is that's been out for months, and I still haven't seen it. But it's another Pixar movie that I've heard is really good, and I'm glad Pixar is coming out with new content, not keep doing sequels and stuff. So I enjoyed Soul a lot. I thought it was a really good movie, and I'm glad Pixar's keeping it up. So, Anyway, I'll be back on my phone.
Wow. I thought what I had to say was generic and bland, but I guess not. So I'm 0% surprised Jasmine did not like it.
Yeah.
Jasmine and I have not hung out, but listening to her taste in films and things of that makes me realize, and knowing like my deep 29-year existential query of why am I even here? What is the effing point? Why have I been put through these trials, these tribulations? Why have everyone around me killed themselves in some way just to survive a little bit? Why is someone, as 22 puts it, Earth, you can't crush a soul here. That's what Earth is for. Right? Like, okay. I'm an existential. Every single day since I was born, I have questioned, why am I even here, man? And this movie doesn't really, I wouldn't say it reinforces it, but this movie definitely raises that question multiple times. The scene where, spoiler alert, by the way, where 22, played by Tina Fey, and Mr. G, played by Jamie Electro Fox. That's right. I said it. They go into the hall of quote unquote you. And in that hall, they see the life of Dr. Bjorgensen, which also a great name. That's a lot of fun to say. Bjorgensen. But then they do the handprint thing. It's like a thumbprint. And then his life pops up. Joe Gardner pops up. And his life is our life. His life is sitting in front of the TV. It's brushing his teeth. It's doing honestly nothing exciting or great or wonderful. It's really rather bland and boring. And all he wants to do is get back to his life. And 22 is like, why? Like, life is stupid. Like, what's the even, like, what even is the point? And then that's when you realize, oh, it's gonna do that thing. Sorry, I'm trying to get me on the left side and him on the right, and it's not working out. Then you realize it's like, oh, okay, this movie is gonna do this. It's going to really dive deep into what is the point of life. And the whole point of this movie for Joe, the main character that we're introduced to, is I got to get back to my body because, and I'm quoting him here, this is the most important quote of the movie. If I could play with Dorothea Williams just once, I would die a happy man. He plays for Dorothea Williams with Dorothea Williams at the interview, basically. And then he dies. He literally dies by falling down a hole because he is not aware of his surroundings, of what life has been giving him, of what life is trying to take from him. And that's exactly what this movie is about. It's about awareness. It's about social awareness. It's about personal awareness. It's about emotional awareness. It's about being an educated human being on what makes you, your soul, your body, your mind, your heart, your spirit, your entire collective being of what makes you, from your toes to your intestines to your heart to your brain, to your pineal gland, the soul, all of it together, what makes you happy, what makes you vibrate at a positive frequency. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most existential episode of this episode of our podcast ever, because I'm going to go deep. I am an existential, and I will argue this is the greatest Pixar movie ever, because what Inside Out does for teaching people about psychology and emotions, this goes beyond that. In my opinion, and I'm going to say it right now, it's Soul and Inside Out, because all these Pixar movies have taught you about community for the most part. In some way, you got to learn to lean on others, and Inside Out does the same thing. And Soul does the same thing, but they do it in different ways. They teach you to lean on the other parts of you, the community within your mind, because let's be honest, we all have positive sides of our brain. I'm good. I'm great. We have the ego. And at what point does he die? When does his ego die? I'm trying to exactly remember. I believe it's around, oh, that's right. It's after he plays with Dorothea Williams. He gets back into his body. He takes spoiler alert, he takes 22's Earth card, goes to Earth, gets back in his body, and he plays with Dorothea Williams. And then he literally goes, so what happens next? So we come back tomorrow and we play it again. I always thought my life would be different. And then she hits you with a quote that my nephew asked me about multiple times because he wasn't getting it. And I got it instantly. And I don't want to butcher it. So I'm going to Google this really quick. Because Dorothea Williams says this to Joe Gardner. And it's just beautiful. What she says is, I heard this story about a fish. He swims up to an older fish and says, I'm trying to find this thing they call the ocean. The older fish says, that's what you're in right now. And my nephew didn't get that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time that I started crying and I just couldn't stop in this movie because I got it. You are always seeking for something better. Look at 2020. We were looking for a better future. Hope is like the sun. You can, if you can only believe in it when you, hope is like the sun. If you only believe in it when you can see it, you'll never make it through the night. This quote is the same thing. If you only believe in something is going to be better when you can dream it, when it's reality, are you going to make it? And that is why, to me, Soul is the greatest Pixar film of all time because it doesn't dive through just the emotions of happiness, sadness, greed, fear, rage. It goes into the most existential question is of why am I here? How did I get my Earth pass? And what is it that is the spark? Is my spark my purpose? Is my purpose my spark? Is that the reason I was put on this earth? And I've said for a long time that my purpose on this planet is to bring smiles to the faces of those who do not have smiles, or to bring bigger smiles to the faces of those that have smiles. And when I think of it, you know, in Soul, he's like, my spark is piano. But his spark was, that was what sparked him. But that wasn't his purpose. His purpose was to share. His purpose was to share the spark. Because if you share a spark, you can light a fire. And that fire with wind and with debris can become a bonfire. And that can become an inferno. And that can burn the world. Or better yet, it can burn a passion into a soul, into a mind, to set fire to the world in a positive way. To inspire the world, because inspiration is more powerful day in and day out than despair. That's why people love The Rock, because he's been through some of the hardest shit in life. In a similar fashion to The Rock, I've had a more truncated version of his life. My football career ended when I was 16 years old. That was the only reason I was still alive for 9 years of my life, was to play football. That was the only reason I even wanted to wake up in the morning, because I knew that, you know what, football season it's 6 months away. It's 3 months away. We have practice tomorrow. And although I hated practice because negative reinforcement from coaches and teammates, I knew that, hey, that means game day is only six weeks away, 12 practices away, whatever it may be, right? And Soul truncates everything I've experienced in my life into an hour and I believe 45 minutes before credits, maybe?
Yeah, no, less than that. Less than that.
I think it's like an hour and 40 minutes before credits roll.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. Because the point that really gets me is when, spoiler alert, 22 is in Joe's body. Oh, first off, let's just talk about some fun stuff. Joe is the cat.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's just fun. Like everyone can understand that humor and it carries through. But the first taste, this first smell of pizza, the first taste of pizza, and the whole, it's so good. And there's like, it's not terrible. Like how what your brain and your mind and your soul says is totally different than what you tell people. Because as J. Cole said, David, you're on my left now. As J. Cole said, if you don't tell them about your dreams, they can't crush it. Right?
Yeah.
I've lived my whole life believing that, my whole life living that, exuding that, exemplifying that. My family didn't know I wanted to be an actor because I never told them. Because more often than not in my childhood, from maybe it was my family, maybe it was people at school, they crushed dreams. Earth is the place that souls get crushed. That's why there's the safari of lost souls. That's why moon dreamer, moon breaker, wind breaker, dreamer, what all those amazing existential weird souls of this movie that go on and save souls, man. Like those are actually my favorite characters because they're the ones who get it. They are like they're the rainbow children, if you will. Like there's an entire world of existentialism that if you've never dove into, you've never had an ego death, you've never gotten to the rock bottom and thought I should just kill myself. And then you have to go, but why wouldn't I kill myself? And then you have to talk yourself out of that. If you've never been there, and I pray you never do get there, and because it's never fun. That's the hardest fight to get out of. It's 2021. 6 years ago, I was there. I was unequivocally there. I didn't give a fuck about my life. I wanted to die every single day that I woke up because I could not do the one thing I'd always dreamt of doing, and that was making my grandmother proud by being a college graduate, with which she had never experienced before. My mom has a degree, but it is not it's not a 4-year grind your fucking life away into the ground, lose your spirit, civil engineering degree. And you only did it because you love math. And halfway through, you find out there's not enough math to make you happy. This got really deep and it got soul searching this episode, but that is what soul is. And if you've never been to that point, I can understand why this movie is like, it's good. But I've been there. And the best part of this movie to me, and I wanted to get everyone to understand why this moment is my favorite of this movie. Right before Cat Joe, as I'm going to call him, and 22 Joe, because she's in his body. They're sitting there in front of I don't even know what the building is called, but they're about to meet Windbreaker Moon Dreamer, and they're going to switch souls back so he can go play with Dorothea Williams. And she's actually realizing in the moment she sees the wind blow the leaves. And I've had so many of these moments where that exact motion is like, look at that. It's a mini tornado of leaves. Like it's going to, look at that. It's gone 4 feet. Oh my God, it's gone 5 feet. Will it overcome me? Oh no, it just died. Oh, that's a bummer. That would have been cool if it went to 8 feet. And she realizes, oh my God, this is so much better than I could have ever dreamed of. And the leaf falls from the tree into her palm, and she clutches it and goes, I want to live.
Mm-hmm.
But what is my spark? Why am I supposed to live? What's the purpose? What's the meaning? What's the meaning of life? And then as the movie concludes, you realize wanting to live is the point. It is the point. And having been someone who at more times than I could ever honestly remember or recount has wanted to kill myself, but couldn't figure out what the point of it was. And being a son of a bitch who doesn't like questions, but loves answers, I wanted to know what the point was. And that's why I didn't off myself at times. That's why this movie is great to me. It's why it's the greatest Pixar movie, because it takes what Inside Out did and it takes it to a new level. It takes what Coco did and takes it to an even higher level. Coco is about family and community, right? But Soul's about introspection, the self. I could achieve my greatest dreams, but will that make me happy? And these are questions that Joe Gardner has. These are questions that I know I have to this day. It's why, like I said, I will just be happy in 2021 if I don't have to work a day job and I can do the podcast and I can go do live events and I can work as an actor and pay my rent and pay all of my bills. Because although, yeah, I want to be a movie star and I want to be a Sith in a Star Wars movie, and I want the world to fear me as that character, and I want to be a superhero and inspire children to live a better life and to do the right thing, and to when all things are tough and everything is beating you down, you're in the darkest night of your soul and you want to die, that you stand back up and you fight for the future of not just yourself, but for everybody else, to bring positivity into this world. That is the question I have. And Soul reminds you that just wanting to live, man, just wanting to live is seriously all you need to make life worth living. And my phone is yelling at me because it thinks I'm talking to it, aka SIRI. I'm not saying it because it keeps yelling at me. But I would argue with anybody. And if you're just now joining us, ladies and gentlemen, I see our view count picking up a little bit. If you're just now joining us, you're coming to the end of a very existential, very deep, very emotional journey that I've gone on with you about my life and why I think Soul is amazing. And I could go on and on and on, and I still wouldn't be able to touch it, because when you dive deep into your own soul, it is a rabbit hole. It is an abyss. It is like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar going into a black hole. You don't know what's on the other side, and it removes all understanding of time and space. I've had a 45-minute timer up since we started this discussion, and it's only at 29 minutes. We've only been talking about Soul for 15 minutes, and I feel like I've been talking about it for my entire life. That is Soul, man. It's everything I hoped it would be when I first heard about it and heard what just the premise is. A musician dies and has to go with his soul and get back into his body so he can play the gig of a lifetime. And we are all searching for that gig of a lifetime, that thing that'll be like, that's my dream, man. Will you find it in this lifetime? I genuinely, in deepest, brightest, and darkest parts of my heart and soul believe you will. We all will. That is the purpose of life. And if that happens on your deathbed, then you've done more than some people ever have. Because I'll tell you right now, we're going to end this soul bonding, this soul journey, this existential discussion of life. But let me just sum it up for you, man. One day you're going to question why you're alive. And I'm going to tell you right now, before you get to that point, you already know why you're alive. And whatever that is for you, because it's different for everybody, I think Soul, the movie Soul, will help remind you, or maybe influence you, or maybe it'll tell you because you are Joe Gardner, or you're 22. It's already there, man. Or girl, or boy, or lady, whomever you are, it's there. It's sitting within you. All you got to do is take 5-10 minutes, go into a deep meditative trance, a meditative state, just slow everything around you and erase the understanding of time and space in our reality, and just be you, be with yourself, and learn that you are enough. You carry hope for your family, for people you've never met in your entire life, for people you've met and didn't know you inspired. Soul has something for everyone. I can tell you now, I know for a fact, my nephew, my oldest nephew, has not stopped thinking about this, because he and I are very similar. And he's at that age where when I was his age, I was genuinely at that point where, why am I alive? Like, what is the point? I've been thinking about this question for over a decade. And that fish story, which again, I'm going to requote it because it's so beautiful. I heard this story about a fish. He swims up to an older fish and says, I'm trying to find this thing they call the ocean. The older fish says, that's what you're in right now. That is the damn moral of soul. That's the moral of life. Take a moment, take 15 seconds, take a breath, look around you. I'm looking at a tripod right now. What does that have meaning to anybody? To me, it's a reminder that I got an audition to film after this. And although I am ridden with anxiety all the damn time, I'm going to have some damn fun later. And although, yeah, I got a lot of laundry I still got to fold, which I ain't going to fold it because what's the point in folding laundry, right? I'm going to do it, and I'm going to enjoy life. We're going to take a very, very brief break unless David, who is now back with us in the live feed, is anything to say about Soul.
I don't have much to follow up, but I really enjoyed Soul. That's it.
My favorite thing about movies before we do move on is you can look at it through so many lenses. And that's my favorite thing about discussing movies is you learn somebody else's lens in life, right? I learned as a child that you have to learn from someone else's perspective to understand their perspective, to have compassion for their perspective. And even when you don't understand their perspective, because you can't comprehend how their mind works, you still have to have compassion for them. And guess what? That's another lesson that Soul has. We're going to take I don't even know how long of a break. You know what? We're not going to take a break. I'm just going to give the mic over to David Thompson, and we're going to go right into Captain America Civil War.
Oh, boy, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas, I don't know how you want to do this, but here we go. We've got Captain America Civil War. I hope you guys can hear me okay out there.
You're jumping in and out, but it's okay.
Am I? Okay.
Yeah.
Here, let's try.
Just go straight through.
Hopefully things can get a little better now.
Honestly, you know what? Let's do it like this, David, because ladies and gentlemen, we're doing it live right now. We're live. You're behind the scenes with Lights, Thunder, Action because we've had technical difficulties. If you're just joining us, David's laptop is dead. It did itself in. It didn't want to survive for the party that is Civil War. It didn't want to handle the Civil War between David and I. I really want to see your screen time breakdown that you have, and then we'll go Team Iron Man, Team Cap, and then we'll go into WandaVision notes because that's the point of this entire discussion is Wanda and Vision and their journey to WandaVision. Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. I liked. I found the screen time just because people always argue that this is an Avengers movie, not a Captain America movie, and the screen time kind of reflects that. So Chris Evans is number 1 at 38 minutes and 15 seconds. Robert Downey Jr., to no one's surprise, is just 1 minute under at 37 minutes and 15 seconds. And then Sebastian Stan's significantly under. It's crazy to think like Scarlett Johansson has 12 minutes of screen time in this movie. Seems it's just a lot more. Anthony Mackie only has 11. Zemo himself only has 10 minutes and 10 and a half minutes in this movie of screen time. This is crazy to think to me. So anyway, but if you like, it's Captain America Civil War. It's Captain America and Iron Man Civil War. They run the show. It is their movie together. According to the screen time anyway. And like it's in the story. Like there is no Civil War if it's not for Iron Man and we get it from the very beginning, right? Like we get that opening with Bucky, and then which is a Captain America story, and then we go straight to Iron Man using Barth and getting more of his backstory, which we don't know at the time.
No, we don't. We go 91 right into Lagos, and then we jump.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, right. So we get the action scene of Captain America, of course, and then back to Iron Man, and we don't know at the time, but that opening and then Iron Man's introduction are very intertwined. So here's my thing, right? I'm Team Iron Man. Obviously, today's not completely about just breaking this down beat by beat, but here are some reasons why. First off, Spider-Man, of course. Spider-Man's on Team Iron Man, so of course I'm on Team Iron Man. I know you love that, Thomas. So here's a few things that I took notes of. The scene where it's after the whole chase scene with T'Challa and Winter Soldier and Cap, and they've got him, right. They're now like under arrest, like Falcon and Captain America and everything. And it's just Cap and Tony in that room, and Tony's breaking out the pens and all that, and he's just saying, and they're trying to make amends. What I wrote is that it's really good. They're just really good friends who see things differently, and it's so true. Like, you see at the beginning of this movie, or at the beginning of that scene, I'm sorry, like, they're great friends, and they're just trying to catch up, and Steve asks about Pepper, and they get that connection, and like he explains, oh no, we're during a break. It's just so sad to see. Like, that's what the movie's so great, right? Is that you see they are really good friends, but this just fundamental difference of opinion. And a lot of it, what's great about the MCU is a lot of it, both sides make sense from what we've seen of these characters so far. Iron Man screwed up like all these times, and he's like, it's more of like a self-responsibility thing where he's like, I would be irresponsible not to sign these. Like, I have to be a part of this. I have to be for this because I've been the one messing up the biggest, and I have to be held in check. And so another point is, so basically on also just the Team Iron Man, Team Cap. I'm Team Iron Man, but in all honesty, I see both sides when it comes to the Accords, because they both make good points. All this destruction's happening. Someone like Wanda, out in the field, you can see where the government or people would be like, that's just scary, and especially after the logos. But the thing is, then when the multiple Winter Soldier threat appears, that kind of changes the movie. I remember watching the first time, like, oh my gosh, like, I did not expect that coming. When Bucky's like, oh, there's more. Like, that completely changed the movie. And looking back, I mean, the airport fighting scene is one of the best in the MCU because it's like hero on hero. Like, what gets better? But the stakes there aren't as high as maybe we thought going into that movie. Or maybe watching it the first time, because if you think about it, it's like Cap and all them, they're just trying to leave. Like, they're just trying to get out of there. They're just trying to take off and go. And they would want Iron Man, all of them, to come join them. Like, that in that moment, it's like we need them, but they can't reach out because of everything happening with the Accords. Iron Man, on the other hand, is trying to bring Rogers in because he's an outlaw. He's an outlaw. Bucky at that point has busted free and all this. So, like, that's a big part of the movie is just Steve defending Bucky and like trying to protect him. But here we go. Like, so to me, at that point, the movie kind of changes from Team Iron Man, Team Cap in a way. But then the biggest point of why I'm Team Captain, or why I'm Team Iron Man, almost slipped there. Why I'm Team Iron Man is Cap knew that a brainwashed Bucky killed Iron Man's parents. He knew, and he never tell, and he even tries to lie in the scene. He like hesitates. He doesn't even want to say it. He doesn't even say it. Initially, there's a hesitation there, and just I can't not root for Captain. I mean, I'm kind of on Iron Man's side all the way through, just because I kind of see the point of perspective from the Accords more than just Captain America being like, no, like it is like, no, I will not do this. I refuse. It's just he just won't. The line that always gets me, that I will always love and make me so Team Iron Man, is, I don't care, he killed my mom. And it's just boom, we're off and they're fighting. And we get the epic fight scene at the end, which is awesome and one of the best MCU moments from storytelling perspective and an action perspective. But just the line of, I don't care, he killed my mom. Like, I don't care if he's random, it wasn't him, blah, blah. You know, you can have your opinions on whatever, like when it comes to Cap, like Team Iron Man, Team Cap, but in that moment, it's just like, yes, like I do not care. He killed my mom. Like, you're going to kick his ass. Like, that's just what it is. And you can't, and Steve can't be like, at that point, Steve cannot think, oh, like, what do you mean, Tony? Like, this was okay. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no, like, come on. You cannot defend those actions, even though it wasn't him. Obviously, I don't know. I'm Team Iron Man. I'm not gonna make the biggest argument when it comes to the Accords because both sides are right in some ways. But that's the point of the story, is that some parts are wrong, and the Accords in general. I know this is an anti-Team Iron Man thing. The Accords are not right. You know, that's not what should be happening. It's just the concept of agreeing to them, and it just stinks. The movie makes it. I think it actually, like, a quick point. I want to hear all of what you have to, Thomas. A quick point of how the story is untold as a kind of a critique is just how quickly it goes from they are the Avengers and their private organization to boom, suddenly it is you sign the Accords or it's over. That's really quick for me. And it's like, I don't like that part. You know, it should be, you know, this movie, I think it couldn't have been 2 movies, but it would have been better if it had been a more of a struggle, like, and more of a why we have to all of a sudden be criminals. You know what I mean? So those are kind of my thoughts. Team Iron Man, Team Spidey, of course.
On that last point, dude, look at 2020 alone. The fact, the movie, it happens over what, a course of a week, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at America really fast and go, oh, okay, yeah, choose or die. That's exactly, like, my only counterpoint to you is, although, yeah, it like really sucks, and yeah, it happens fast, and you hate that, in understanding the political climate of America or any other part of the world ever, it's exactly how it would go down. It would be do or die, especially with how, like, this movie, I don't know, screw the movie itself. That point in time is so monumental. Like, so many things fell in line for it to happen. You have the Lagos thing. While he's already trying to get Bucky the information on Bucky. So then it leads to the Accords, which then gets him the beautiful point of coming up and going, oh, by the way, I can frame this guy during this thing for something else while they're already kind of in a weird, tumultuous point, which is why Zemo is top 3 greatest villains of all time. And I might have moved Killmonger. I might have moved Killmonger out only because I don't like, and this is why I don't like Killmonger's methods, because it's America's methods, and it really pisses me off. That's a point we'll come to in a moment. I don't like subterfuge. But like, on your points, I agree. Like, my points for this movie really is like, let me just talk about Iron Man really quick before we go into like the team stuff. Charlie Spencer is the final push and payoff for the turn of Tony Stark being entirely selfless, like truly selfless. And it's the official ego death of Tony Stark, which then becomes the culmination, or the building to the culmination of Endgame. Like, that scene, as soon as it happens, you see it, a snap, and he goes, she's right.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I was doing something right, and at the end of the day, I got these people killed, and that's something I've been trying to grapple and come to terms with since since Iron Man, but really the Avengers film, when he had that PTSD, and he still has it, and he has to battle it his own way, but that's a trigger that he's never been able to get rid of, and that's his push to signing the Accords, and I understand that. I disagree with his backing of the Accords, but my reasons will be made clear in a moment. My other major note for Team Iron Man is Spidey is always saving people while they're being flung through the air. I just loved that so much. He saves and then he saves like all the Guardians, and then in Endgame he saves the Gauntlet. It's just it's one of my favorite Spidey like thing. I love Spider-Man. He's my favorite, or my first Marvel character. Not my favorite anymore, but like I love it. Now let's dive deep into like the crux of our debate. The best part of this movie is that both sides are 100% unequivocally correct. They are.
You're right.
Tony's not wrong. From his personal experience, we have to have accountability, because if we don't, we're no better than the bad guys. You're right.
Right.
Like, I can't argue that. You're right.
Exactly.
100%. Does he choose a very shitty avenue to hash it out by punch first, ask forgiveness later? Yep. I agree with Cap, which I'm about to get to in a moment. Does he choose a very shitty avenue of hashing it out, which is punch first, ask forgiveness later? Yep. That's what makes this movie so A, so good, and B, so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It is. This movie is created to build up just to rip your heart out.
Yeah.
And without this movie, Phase 3 doesn't succeed. I don't think that's a very large hill to die on, in all honesty. Because without the Avengers crumbling, you don't get the single story movies of just Doctor Strange and Thor Ragnarok, which isn't even that, like, it's so standalone, but it's also in space, which we get a little, do you know where Thor and Banner are? If I lost a couple 30 megaton newts. Dude, they're fucking people, Thunderbolt Ross, which we'll get to in a moment. I hate him so much. We'll get to him in a moment. We'll get there. Thunderbolt, it's happening. But let me just dive into why I am Team Cap, not just with the Accords, but I will defend Cap's failures later in the movie. Listen, Thunderbolt has this line that they routinely ignore sovereign borders to inflict their will wherever they choose, and who, frankly, seem unconcerned about what they leave behind. Then he goes into New York, Washington, D.C., Sokovia. He goes through all of them. Rant time. The government's logic is, we owe you a great debt, but we will choose who and what your missions are because we are too afraid of you and we are afraid of what you're capable of. Also, we're not going to say this, but we're also going to profit off of you by increasing taxes and then tell you what you can or cannot do, and that you cannot go save people because they, although they are innocent human beings and they do deserve to live, they live in a country that are enemies of the state. Okay, bro. That's why I hate Thunderbolt Ross. That's why I've been on this whole the Thunderbolts will happen, because it starts in that scene, because he cannot control the Avengers. But if he can control criminals through blackmail, a.k.a. Amanda Waller, a.k.a. Task Force X, a.k.a. the mother effing Thunderbolts, baby, that's what's going to happen. 100%. So, he has a couple of other lines that we're going to ignore. The airport scene, I agree. It's pure, absolute, nothing but candy. But it does, which my favorite part of this fight is it gives all these other characters an idea of what the other characters' abilities and strategic advances are on an enemy. And I love that. Falcon and Hawkeye, seeing the bigger picture in not just the jail scene, but a bunch of other places. You know, it's like, specifically, he's right. For us to win this fight, some of us are going to have to live. That makes me so excited to see their shows because of what they experienced after Infinity War and Endgame. That's going to make their storytelling amazing. Here's why I'm Team Cap. This might be a 2.5 to 3 minute exposition. In Steve's shoes, I would like to think I would have done things differently. I would have told Tony, listen, man, there's a chance that my childhood friend who's been brainwashed to become the Winter Soldier, he might have killed your parents. And I say might have because we'll get to that line you were talking about in a minute. Likely, though, I wouldn't have. I understand his position. He didn't know 100% that Bucky killed Howard Stark. But the evidence did point there. aggressively. And you can hope and you can pray. But oftentimes, and I say you hope and you can pray, that you're wrong and your assumptions are wrong, but oftentimes you already know the answer. And when your heart's already crushed that your best friend killed one of your other best friends at a time when you weren't even out of the icicle, you don't want someone else to feel even remotely the same that you feel. Now, that's why I'm Team Cap, because we've all been there. You can learn a lesson from Cap as be upfront and honest, even when you aren't sure that what the truth actually is. Again, I argue he didn't know 100% that Bucky killed his parents. But again, the evidence pointed there aggressively, like, hey-oh, here it is. You can learn a lesson from Iron Man that forgiveness is more powerful than vengeance. Need proof? Let me hit you with some T'Challa. Here's the balance between the two. He was on a vengeance mission, learns that it wasn't Bucky, although legit, it wasn't Bucky this time, as in not Bucky's body or not Bucky's soul. Makes it a little easier of, oh, it's Helmut Zemo. But he moves on to ensure that justice is served. And he's also upfront with his failures right off the bat with Helmut Zemo, that I almost killed an innocent man. And the dead are not done with you yet. And it leads to Black Panther beautifully. And it leads to Killmonger beautifully, because he tries to redeem Killmonger and it just doesn't happen. I get both sides, man. I really do. I've been on both sides of these arguments in different situations. And that's the beauty of this movie, man. It really does break your heart. It makes you recognize the shortcomings of Iron Man and of Cap before they do. And you hope and pray that they get it together and come to terms with the issues at hand. And they don't in this movie. They don't in Infinity War. Hell, they really don't until midway through Endgame, which is like almost 4 years our reality of that happening. So here's my big major takeaway from this movie. And I have questions for you, David, that I love to answer before we get to WandaVision. This is my final takeaway. This could be the most underrated Marvel movie of the first 3 phases. Because when we think about it, like, oh my God, like a spectacle. Oh, it's Team Iron Man, it's Team Cap. But like when you sit down and you watch it and you live in it for a moment, it really doesn't get the credit it deserves for portraying Iron Man as being right about the Accords and portraying Cap as also being right about the Accords. And if you were in the position of Iron Man, if someone killed your family, I don't give a damn if he was my best friend. I'd beat them into a bloody pulp and make them wish. And this is the point where I'm on Team Cap, because Iron Man wanted to kill Bucky. I wouldn't want to kill the person. I'd want them to suffer on a level they never even dreamt of. I would make them suffer and their soul burn in effigy into their own minds as I dismember them mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and make them understand the debts of their karma. If I were in Iron Man's shoes. But if I were in Cap's shoes, I would want to defend my friend, to make sure he's not killed for something that he was not fully in control of, and to protect my friend from going down a path that, as we all know, leads to nothing but to self-despair and doubt and guilt. Because if Tony killed Bucky at the end of the day, would he have felt better? I think we can all agree, no. David, I have some questions for you. Because you are Team Iron Man. And I know that. And you argue, and your main argument was, I don't care, he killed my mom.
Yeah.
Are you okay with, Are you okay with everything Cap did other than not telling Tony?
Throughout the entire film?
Yes.
No. Here's the like you made some good points, and it's kind of the same thing where I just wish there had been more conversation about middle ground. It just didn't seem like there needed to be. I mean, well, we needed the movie, right? They had to push the plot and get to the moment. So it's like there needed to be more of a middle ground where it's like, and we even get the moment. I mean, the scene I referenced when they were talking, Cap was buying in until he realized that Wanda was locked up with Vision, and then he's like, "This is it, Tony. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you can't do this. This is like, you cannot do that. That is not right." So I just wish there had been more middle ground. But
later, Tony's buying in until it's like, oh, he killed my mom. And like, it's the same
Yeah.
thing. It's flipped. Like, that's the beauty of this movie. Please continue.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's the emotional ties. And I just think Cap was a bit too like, oh, I'm going to take my team and we're going to do it this way. When I just think Tony wasn't being, he wasn't trying to be, in my opinion, like that outrageous. He just was conforming to what the reality was and was doing what he thought was right. And Cap just wouldn't have it, and he wouldn't sign, and he wouldn't hear anything about it. So I just thought it pushes the story forward and makes it a better movie, I think. But it just seemed like there should have been more of middle ground met between the both of them. And I think Cap is wrong for him trying to punch his way out of it in the airport scene. When I think about it. Like, when Tony figures out about the new Winter Soldier stuff, and I know there's a bit of an explanation, but it's Cap's explanation is pretty lackluster. He's not really, he's there fully suited, got his whole team going. We know there's like a diversion going where we have Ant-Man on the shield and everything. So it's like, all right, he was planning to fight his way out anyway. I think there could have just been more communication, like in anything in life.
Real.
But I guess my point is just that I thought like Cap was once he got into that mode of it's me versus them and my team versus like the government, it just stuck that way. And I think they could have called Cap, or I think they could have called Iron Man. Sorry, when it's like this could have been a lot easier a week ago. Like, I don't know. I think there could have been a world where they're like, General Ross, like, here's all this evidence, like here's all the evidence. Why does this happen? Like, I get where now they're criminals or whatever, but it could have been like a, hey, this is a bigger than us sort of situation. We need to go take care of this. And also, I didn't point this out. You did earlier before we get like WandaVision and stuff. Zemo is an awesome villain. It's even more impressive when you see the runtime, which isn't even that much. It's like 10 minutes. He is an awesome villain. I can't wait to see him back in Falcon Winter Soldier. He is. I mean, he's just a puppet master, and is a great villain with no action. He just is like playing the cards and wants to destroy them. Like, and he does it brilliantly.
You can argue he's actually the hero of this movie. Because let's be honest, like let's be real. We as human beings, we're not Cap, we're not Iron Man, we're not these larger than life. We're just a guy or a girl who's been to some shit, and the world keeps continually crapping on you. And what did he do? He took his skills, he took his intelligence, and he went and he found a path, and he went down that path to tear down Titans, not by overpowering them, but by making them fight themselves.
Yeah.
That's an allegory for America for the last 153 years, I think. But we're not going to go that far into psychology. I agree with you on that. You're like Cap's against it, but you got to look at it from Cap's perspective. He was American man, right? He goes into the ice. He comes out. Oh, I'm a shield man. Oh, shield's been lying to me and creating weapons of mass destruction with the very thing that Nazis and Hydra were using. Okay, whatever. I'm going to work with you because I don't know anything else. Oh, you've been lying to me. Oh, everyone I've been working with is Hydra. Oh, cool. So the people I was supposed to trust, I can no longer trust. Let's go down this path where I only trust Black Widow and Falcon. Very important. Oh, then we go into Ultron, and then Thor doesn't tell him stuff. Iron Man lies to him about Ultron. Banner lies to him. Widow lies to him. Everyone is lying to him, and he's like, well, it's no longer what it used to be. I can't trust anybody. And then, of course, at that same moment, he does lose Peggy. And then he's told a line, which I didn't want to bring this up, but I think that line that Sharon Carter tells the world, that Peggy told her, is a line that actually will come from Captain America, that he told her when she was going through her trials and tribulations in the Shield because of Endgame. And I have a question that I'm going to save for next week when we get through Endgame, because there's no way we're not going to talk about the entire movie of Endgame and only talk about the 15 minutes of Wanda. And that is the whole, why do people hate Captain America, his arc in Endgame? And this entire movie explains why. David, let's go through your notes on Wanda and Vision, because we have some similarities, but we also have some stuff that is different.
Okay. Yeah. So first things first for me is Wanda's accent is way better in this one than in Ultron, in my opinion. It's toned down and it's better performed by Olsen. It's great. It sounds like in Ultron, it sounded like she was trying too hard, or they were like directing her to make it too strong. It's way better in this one. It's subtle and it's good. But it's there enough where you're like, okay, you like get she's from Sokovia. All right, so here's kind of my order. Vision phases straight through Wanda's wall into her room, and it's not the first time because she's like, Viz, like we talked about this, which is so funny to me, and just a little bit of their relationship. Also, she calls him Viz, which is awesome. And I remember the first time watching in theaters, I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And then in this one part when they're talking about the Accords, and one is like, you're saying they'd come for me, and Vision immediately turns and is like, we protect you. We would protect you. And you just get it. And then later when they're when you realize that she's kind of bunkered up in this house with Vision, he's making the paprikash or whatever, and he doesn't know how to taste or anything, and it's terrible. And here's something else that I thought was really important. I said a sad but interesting line with the context we know now. He says, who knows? One day I could even control it. Talking about the Mind Stone, because he's like, I don't really know what this is. You know, it give you your powers and it does all these things. And we know that Wanda ends up destroying it, and he never really like controls it like that or gets the opportunity to. And it's really interesting.
I've got a note on this same scene, that same point, the right before that. Really, he's like, I don't know what this is. You can tell he's troubled that he does not know, like we were talking in Soul, why am I alive? Like that's all he wants to know. He's an existential trying to understand the meaning of his life. Right. And he's like, I just want to understand it. Maybe I can control it. Like, and that's the whole point of Soul in a way. And I don't think that this little nugget is going to change. I think he'll be the first person to notice something is wrong in WandaVision, because she's going to remember that part of his personality. And even though he is technically dead, she's going to remember him as he was. And because they are linked through the Mind Stone, it's going to be a very, very true interpretation of Vision. So I think and if we look in the trailers, even Wanda is like, oh my God, life is good. And Vision is like, something's wrong here.
Right.
So I think that's a big clue for WandaVision. Not the only Vision point of this entire film, but
yeah. There's that fun moment when, Wanda ultimately realizes she's kind of being in hostage, and Vision's like, alternatively, we could order a pizza. Like kind of thinking like, what's something that a human would say that'd be that's not going to give up his cover. And I love this line. Wanda's like, what do you want? Like basically it's like, what's best for her, and Vision goes, for people to see you as I do. Like, well, that's all he really wants, and he means the best in what he's doing. He thinks he's right. He's not trying to hold her hostage. He's just trying to protect her, protect people. He's just trying to let it kind of blow over. And I'm sure he likes being with her too. So when Clint comes to rescue Wanda, finally, Wanda hesitates. It's not just like, oh, bye. She doesn't want to at first. She's not like just running to Clint. Wanda can make Vision powerless through the stone. That's a very pivotal point to me, where like she uses her powers, and you can see it like connects to the stone in his head, and that makes him like powerless. And then she absolutely buries Vision, just mounds and mounds of like the house or whatever, the ground, just absolutely destroys him. And then I noted here, I guess we know who wears the pants in the family.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. So at the end of the airport scene, now jumping forward, because there's like what we're getting of Wanda and Vision this episode, or this movie, is kind of like split up.
It's like 20 minutes of them each, right?
Yeah, it's even less than that. Yeah, like total. Vision and Wanda apologize, and Vision goes, it is as I said, catastrophe. When they're referencing back earlier, them fighting together, and it's it's funny seeing them on different sides of on the two different teams. And And then, so the big moment is that Vision is distracted by Wanda, which he admits to later that he's like, I became distracted, which is like, not supposed to ever happen because he's an android. And that's pivotal, right? Because it's like shows that he can have feelings and he can be distracted like that. He's distracted, misses Sam, hits Rhodey. Obviously, you know what happens with that. And then I wrote what should have happened if he hadn't gotten distracted. Easily, Vision just flies up there. And could have easily neutralized Sam, and Tony and Rhodey could have caught up with Steve and Bucky, but love. So he got distracted. He's talking to Wanda. He just shoots the laser beam when he easily could have just flown up there. But oh well, life happens, and Rhodey got the short end of the stick on that one.
Yeah, one of my questions that I just kind of neglected to ask because I know it'll lead, because there's been arguments online. Do you think Rhodey passed out while he was falling after the dead stick? Because I watched it again today and I had that thought in my mind. Or did he close his eyes and just welcome what was about to happen because he knew the statistics of it? Because
I thought he passed out.
See, it's made to be that he passed out, but let's be real. Like, if Tony Stark doesn't pass out doing that same fall from a higher height, how would, and he says it, like, what is it, like 400 flights or something. He says like the amount of flights he's had and never had an issue.
Right.
I think he's like, Tony, and then he goes, okay, this is about to happen. And he closes his eyes. I think he's like, okay, I have to accept this because there's nothing he can do. And he realizes that he's intelligent enough. My headcanon is he didn't pass out. He was, because Rhodey has always been ahead of the curve on Tony. Even at the end of this movie, he's ahead of the curve. Even in Infinity War, he's still ahead of the curve of Tony on acceptance and understanding. And I think he closes his eyes and goes, this is happening. We just have to accept what's about to happen to us because there's nothing we can do. And radical acceptance. My thoughts for the Wanda and the Vision. I've already said my one thing on Vision. So here it is. Here's the big points that I caught from this movie. Number one, I'm going to keep it simple. The powers we see from Wanda in this movie, she creates a force field of for bullets and the such. She's able to fly in a way. She controls matter by pulling the gas out and controlling the explosion to an extent.
Yeah.
She controls matter, and she can control not just the Mind Stone, but Vision's entire power set. But here's my favorite. This isn't really anything that I already haven't mentioned. Cannonball Special. And if you're a fan of the X-Men, you're going to understand what that means. If you're not, go watch Civil War. Go Google Cannonball Special. It brought the biggest, dumbest smile to my face. But I have two more points. Wanda doesn't get a win in any appearance. She never wins. She literally loses all the time. Need proof? Ultron loses Pietro. The beginning of this film, the Lagos incident. Then she gets locked up. She can't control it all, right? Infinity War kills Vision. She has to.
Yeah.
Only for it to what?
Amazing scene.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Only for it to get reversed and be undone anyway.
Infinity War is like the best movie for Wanda and Vision. It's so good. And it's brief, but it's such a good setup for what's to come.
Yeah. And then
next week.
Endgame, exactly. In an Endgame, she doesn't kill Thanos.
Right.
I have no idea who you are. You will.
Yeah.
Not really. Sheesh. Right? Like that?
Yeah.
That sucks. Like this is pointing to her being a villain, in my opinion. Like it 100% points to her being a villain. And when you think about her versus Thor, like no one's lost as much as Wanda. And people are like, oh, look at Thor. When you look at Thor, look at his lifespan. His lifespan is not like 30 years of being alive like Wanda. That's rough, dude. I'm not even 30 and I've been through. I mean, I haven't had to kill people and I haven't been the reason of people dying, right? But I've still lost like most of my family to death in some way. And that changes you. So then it brings me to this Last point, the most important line of this entire movie that sets up WandaVision perfectly. You know, she's like, I'll leave. And Vision says, I can't let you. My first thought, you can't stop her. But then she says, I can't control their fear, only my own.
Yeah. Really good
Dave,
line.
if that isn't all of the tea for WandaVision, like,
that's a great point. Yeah,
and,
I wish I'd actually thought of that. That's really good.
yeah, man. I mean, it hit me, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Granted, I'd already looked at your. I'll be fair. I did watch it today, and I'd already seen all of David's notes myself. So I was like, "All right, let me try and pull some different stuff." But even still, I would have pulled these out because they stood out so much for what I view as the levels of pulling up to the next series. David.
Right.
We are pretty much out of time. We are both on a time crunch. Where can everyone find you on social media?
Yeah, guys, you guys can find me on David at David Thompson on Facebook, at David J Thompson on TikTok and Instagram, and at David Thompson with 2 A's in the David on Twitter. Thomas, how about yourself?
You can find me on Facebook at Thomas Carter Rochester -actor, at Thomas Carter Rochester. You know what? I'm going to make this simple for everyone. It's at Thomas Carter Rochester, all one word, no hyphens, no spaces, for Facebook and Instagram. I always forget that Facebook has a handle, if you will, an @ handle. On Twitter, it is at TC Rochester Act. That is TCROCHESTERACT. And on YouTube, it is Life of Thor. I'm gonna be real. Look out for Life of Thor. Facebook, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter coming in the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna get that set up to share out my stuff, etc. David, do you have anything to promote for this week?
Yeah, guys, can check me out on thedirect.com. Just wrote a vision about WandaVision today. Go check that out. David Thompson at thedirect.com. Go check us all out. We're pumping out all that good news for you today and always. So go check us out, thedirect.com. Thomas, what about you?
Oh, baby, you know I have a lot of stuff to promote. Like I said at the beginning of this week, I've got 2 podcasts to promote as well as a movie. So Zombies, the official movie, is looking for assistance with donations or shares. I just posted the link in the comments of our live feed on Facebook and the HWWS WebTV channel and YouTube. We're looking for donations or shares. It's a classic sci-fi feature with a ton of cheesiness, written and directed and starring by Alicia Marie. It'll be starring local talent from the Emerald Coast area where I live, and it'll be about, you guessed it, zombie bees. If you want to keep up with the buzz, give the official Facebook page a like and or a follow, as well as on Instagram, and join the Honey Brick Road as we progress toward production all the way through the official premiere. Just dropped right as we went live, David, is the Trouble Trooper podcast's first ever Troopy Awards for the first season of The Mandalorian. I posted that link in our Facebook and YouTube feed as well. I posted the Apple podcast version of that, I should say. I believe it's on other locations. It's about an hour long. You can join me and Stephen Bauer as we discuss season 1 of The Mandalorian and give out awards for all of it. On Thursday of this week, the day I get paid, which is very important to remember, ladies and gentlemen. The Derek Diamond Experience will be releasing the season 2 Mandalorian Roundtable. It'll be myself, Derek Diamond, the host, as well as Stephen Wise, a writer, director in the Emerald Coast area. He's won a lot of awards with his film Survey, his script Paradigm, and his script Maelstrom. He's deep into the indie circuit for filmmaking, and boy, it's a really good discussion. It's a lot of fun. We all have a lot going on. And that brings us to finally next week, we will wrap up the Trilogy of Trilogies with the 5-hour extravaganza of Infinity War and Endgame. How are we going to fit just those 2 movies alone into an entire episode, David? I don't know.
I don't know either. We will
I don't-
obviously be focusing on WandaVision because we are
Yeah.
focusing leading into WandaVision, which will be the next episode. We'll be talking about that, so that's very exciting. But yeah, Infinity War, Endgame, talking Wanda and Vision. Infinity War will definitely be the focus when it comes to those two because they have a lot in that movie that is just awesome between those two. But yeah, that's wrapping it up. That's wrapping up phase 3 of the MCU, sort of. Far from home too, but it'll lead us right into phase 4. So
it'll lead us right into WandaVision because it's the last. It's hilarious that we've only seen Wanda and Vision together in a movie, but 3 movies, dude.
Yep.
Like, I only included Endgame because I needed an excuse to watch Endgame, and the fact that Wanda is in it and she has that beautiful scene with Clint, and I like that's one of 2 scenes that she has in the entire movie that are like character. Like, she's in it for maybe 10 minutes in Endgame,
right?
But it's huge what she does. So that's why we're covering Endgame. And also we're just going to talk about like Marvel and, you know, like all the amazing stuff. Anyways, this, ladies and gentlemen, has been another stuffed, packed, wild episode 39 of Lights, Thunder, Action. We will see you all next week. And don't forget, in 2 weeks, we will be covering the first episode of WandaVision.
Yep.
That's David Thompson. I'm Thomas Carter Rochester. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna play you out here. We hope you have a beautiful week. We hope 2020 is everything your soul, your mind, and your heart has dreamed of. Thank you for joining us, and we can't wait to go on this wild adventure with you for the rest of this year.
Bye, everyone.